been heating up. We are very excited to announce that Asus ROG is the sponsor of the CCA Circuit. Their eSprouts initiative is giving the CCA Circuit prizing support to our top teams for the season. We are happy to have them join on as our prizing sponsor. You can find out more about their Elite Rewards program by typing in !ASUS in the CCA Twitch chat and any of the chats for his streams. Thank you so much to Asus ROG for their support of the collegiate Splatoon scene. And I just want to say personally, it is awesome to see them giving that support. My name is Magic 8 Ball, and I am joined by
Cyren, yippee!
And we are here for the Season 5 Circuit Finals, Day 2 for Div 3 on SplatoonTourney1 Twitch channel, and I am very excited to be back on the mic for the first time in who knows how long, and I am very ready to see the fun things that we've got in store today. Cyren, how are you feeling?
Well, we discussed it a little bit before the call, but as far as the stream goes, I'm doing wonderful.
Have you been awake? Have you been looking into some of the things that the CCA has been doing as of recent?
Well, I've been awake for about the past 9 hours, I would say. But as far as my involvement and interest in CCA, most of my involvement has actually just come from hearing my actual Splatoon teammate talk about CCA and her experiences with it. I believe she's with California Rollers, the UC Berkeley team. Yeah,
that's awesome. I didn't even realize that she was on UC Berkeley, but that makes sense. And all in all, I've taken steps back from CCA in the past, and I really haven't been like super involved in a long time. But I always check in, I always peer in, and even at the onset of this season, I helped them, kind of give a vibe check for the format and everything, and like just every single time that I look at them, I am just so impressed at what they've been doing here, at how they've been moving things forward in the collegiate scene, and the fact that they're excelling and people are noticing that it makes me very happy. And I've been watching. I decided this morning to try and watch as much of the stream yesterday, and I saw some wild things, and we're going to be seeing some wild things here for this first match. I assure you of that.
That's what I love to see. I love wild things in my Splatoon. So it's going to be nice and refreshing. I believe it has been quite some time since I've gotten to see some CCA action, but hopping in the finals, no better time than now, I suppose.
No better time at all. And we're getting right into this. We've got A-State Black, who was on stream yesterday. They made a couple of very fun matches versus HLG Gold, who beat out and I believe upset USF Green in the first day, and these two teams have a lot going for them, and we're going to see some very fun comps and a lot of blasters, Cyren.
I am a bit of a blaster aficionado myself, so seeing a blaster, going down in the first 15 seconds is not my ideal fantasy. But with that's going to be a cap onto the zone for A-State Black very early on in this game. They're going to be forced to back up just a little bit here, but it seems like they haven't really lost much of their foothold that they've initially gained at the beginning of this game.
Yeah, seems like it. All in all, pretty solid standard stuff that we're seeing in terms of just the initial skirmishes. Nothing really to stand out from either of the teams yet, but there have been a lot of points going down. HLG has just not been able to really put too much paint and pressure on that zone, although now it finally seems to have flipped. Specials are coming back online. We're about to start seeing probably the first big skirmish here, and we're going to have to see who comes out on top, and it's looking like A-State Black is going to be making that first move.
Yeah, A-State Black doing a good job here, advancing farther from the zone. It seems like Space Plan has been forced to back up into this corner here, so you kind of see a bit of a herding action coming out from them. But with that, strength comes in numbers, Magic, and with all those people bunched up, they're going to win a fight for themselves, get that zone capped as well, and looks like this is their opportunity to start burning through a bit of their penalty and maybe get a lead of their own.
Seems like they've got a good situation with these positions. They've got this blaster in a perfect spot to try and keep the members of A-State Black at bay. They've got through that crab, a very critical special for trying to break space through, and that whale ends up going through and not taking any picks as well. We are seeing a little bit more orange on this map, but all in all, there have been a lot of good kind of kite backs from the members of HLG, and they're going to get rewarded with a pick themselves. The blaster having to jump out, and the color of the zone finally does go to the orange, but it is all in all, I'd say, a win for HLG.
Yeah, HLD now holding on to that lead there, has that cap as well. So at this point, we're looking to build up some specials and use that to retain a little bit farther here. We see this Kraken coming out from Big Nut, going down the right side lane there. And it does feel like A-State Black is definitely trying to find some picks from a distance here, so they're able to break into zone with a little bit more confidence. Obviously, you're not going to be wanting to run in when you're dealing with this much paint pressure coming out from the members of HLG Gold, especially when you have a blaster just lurking in the midst of it. So definitely trying to work out what they can here. With 30 seconds left to go, they're really going to have to get at least maybe one zone cap in there to try and extend that timer for themselves, though.
They really did a great job of using that Tri-Stringer's ability to poke and prod to get that blaster out of position. They were able to work together with the T-Tech to get that finally neutralization and cap on the zone, but that's not going to last. They were not in the right position. They did not have the right picks. But speaking of the right picks, how about Soldier Emu going to be able to go in, find two on that far right stack, and that is going to leave them with plenty of room to work with, even after going down. They've got the crab, they've got this whale, they've got so much pressure now that a minute and 30 left is plenty of time to bring this game back into their favor.
Yeah, a minute and 30 left is going to be like actually very generous for them because they are no longer dealing with any sort of penalty here. But it does mean on the other side of that coin, they are going to have to hold this very confidently. And with 2 picks on the board, that's going to be a very realistic ask here. That is, though, that Kraken coming out in front of the zone. That is going to be the greatest distraction for the members of A-State Black. They can't really afford to ignore that for the time being there. So really focusing on longevity, not letting the members of HLG Gold cap the zone here, just trying to keep it at least at the very minimum in the neutral. It's going to be very difficult with these tri-strikes, though.
Oh my goodness, you're able to put the paint down. They're able to still hold on, even with 2 members going down. I think that's finally going to spell the release of their pressure, but that was such a fantastic minute-long hold from the members of A-State Black, but they've got to have one more good push in them if they want to try and convincingly take this game. That's going to look like they're starting to do it with 2 members going down on the side of HLG Gold. They've got at least one more pick, and with 20 seconds remaining, they're basically going to have to go into the overtime and make sure that there is 0 chance for HLG to get back in.
Yeah, just that Tenatech splatter shot surviving on the side of HLG Gold. They are going to smartly back up, able to pop those tri-strikes and try and hope to get rid of that crab tank sitting on top of the zone there. But now it's just going to be a mad fight for the zone. Big Nut going to get 2 picks, though, and that is going to be enough to clear out that space and seal that game for them.
A fantastic showing, I think, from both sides, proving that they have a very good sense of how to make progress in terms of the different stages of the match. But I think all in all, fantastic play coming out from that blaster, the Big Nut, and from the backliner on the side of HLG Gold, who was consistently putting down coolers, consistently putting down paint, and not getting caught out too many times to where it was super detrimental. I mean, they knew what they had to do. They held on to it, and even though they didn't really do super well in the opening, they had that one good push, one good hold, and that's all they needed.
Yeah, it did really feel like that beginning state of the game was very much in the favor of A-State Black. But as you said, you really only need that one good push, and being able to defend it at the very last minute of the game there was what sealed the deal for them. Just using those strikes to deal with that crab tank, which was definitely going to be a very large obstacle for them getting back in there. It's very time-based that you're dealing with in overtime. So good on them to be careful and have that discipline to hold it for that time period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's really what it takes on a map mode like Macomart Zones, right? Is that discipline, because it feels like there's so many opportunities that you can get to just try and like peek out over a ledge and get a pick, or to drop down and try and make something happen for your team. There's a lot of temptation to do that on that map mode specifically, and they were able to just hold themselves to it. All in all, though, that tri-stringer I think is such an interesting pick, and I really like how they utilize it with the T-Tech to try and make those small pushes forward on the side of A State Black. They have this tri-stringer one trick alongside a couple of really like solid shooter players, and that combination for them allows them to really put a lot of paint down and hold space pretty well while being flexible. And I think it's an interesting decision to just have this very set in stone play style, but they seem to have made it work to get them this far.
Yeah, for sure. It's worked for them this far. I'd love to see how it continues throughout the set going into game 2 as well, and how they're able to use that optimally to their
Mm-hmm.
advantage.
I think it's going to take mainly making sure that that blaster is never sitting safe, right? Like
Mhm.
when Big Nut was able to get onto one spot where those pop shots will go out over those ledges that it needs to put on like super pressure, right? As long as they can remove him from those spots, remove them from those spots, and ensure that that blaster is never sitting down, then I think that they'll be fine. But it's going to be interesting to see if they can manage it in the future map modes. And this is a best of 5, if I remember correctly, and we've got Rainmaker Humpback is up next. Oh, it's
All
counter
right.
picks. Okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's counterpick, so that means A State Black has sort of singled out this particular map mode and said, like, "All right, we think we can do strong in this." And honestly, who can blame them? They had a
Mm-hmm.
strong opening in that previous game. Rainmaker is all about having a strong opening to your gameplay. We've seen
Yes.
entire teams just be able to pop that Rainmaker if it's the right person getting the special meter from it. They can easily chain for the remainder of the game. If it's like a ink vac, even a reef slider really helps as
Mm-hmm.
well. So many options to play off of that. And on this map mode, especially actually, now that I think about it, Rainmaker Humpback is kind of infamous for being able to do things like that. So I I think this is a perfectly suitable counter pick actually.
Yeah, 1000%, right? Especially whale on humpback seems to be just like so hard to deal with if you fire it from the right spots, especially like on those pushes when you're just able to get around elbow, like it can clear out a spot. And I think this is a perfect way for them to handle that. On the other side though, HLG is going to have a bit of a difficult time, I think, right? Because it's not going to be like the easiest thing for to set up that heavy edit in those spots. It's very difficult for them to kite back and to have to jump out consistently to try and solidify those positions. So we'll see if they're able to manage it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's take a look here. We have our comps at the ready. Looks like we have a switch into decaf from A State Black on this map mode. I think Bubbler is very strong on this map mode, but looks like HLG Gold actually able to get that initial Rainmaker pop. And like you said before, that blaster was feeling very safe, able to run up and get that pick very early on. And with that decaf kind of being forced to use aggression as their best defense, they are going to go down as well. So now that is going to be a huge opening for HLG Gold, getting that first checkpoint cleared within the first 30 seconds of this game.
First 30 seconds is a very big deal. Rainmaker is the very much a mode that is dependent on those first few interactions, on how quickly you can get that checkpoint, and this completely opens things up for the rest of the game, and the A-State Black is going to be having that pressure of feeling like, gosh, we just need to try and match them, we need to try and get that checkpoint down, and it might cause them to overextend. We'll see if they are able to handle it. Tri-Strike's coming down on both sides, and they're going to be trying to find this heavy edit here. Moonview not able to find what they needed, and Spaceplant is going to be able to come through with that side swipe and take them out at the kneecaps. There's still a couple members remaining from A-State Black, but that is going to be CCA solidly hold from HLG Gold.
Yeah, you saw Soldier Emu there for a second trying to escape, and we're kind of dealing with the recuperation stages of, okay, we just were pushing a second ago, and now we're immediately into the defense position, so everyone get into place. Let's find where we're gonna stay alive the best and deal with this Rainmaker who doesn't even really need to worry about getting to that checkpoint, right? Like, Chris can stand here and just shoot shots from a distance as long as they would like, and that does allow Mr. Peanut to run up and just take care of that decav and maybe even the bow on their final check.
There's definitely a dip and a dive in and making it really hard for that bow to make solid plays. And it makes sense because as I have just looked at the statistics, on day one, HLG Gold did end up playing this map mode and KO'd with this same composition. So they are very much familiar with this and know how to play it to their advantage, to their strength. Although at this point, it does not seem like they're in a position of strength that they've got 2 down on their side, and this checkpoint looks like it's easy takings for A-State Black.
Easy takings if they're able to get a little bit closer, and looks like we had a little bit of cleanup work coming out from that decav running into their base. Soldier Emu is going to get behind this Zuka in mid, just barely dodging the shots for themselves. Looks like that decav coming in to help with that team fight, and this very well reasonably could be that lead there if they're able to escape these tri-strikes. Not looking like that's going to be the case. Chris here sitting on that corner just trying to prevent that Rainmaker from being popped, or the members of A-State Black from running into their base there, but with a decav, there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
That's such a harsh reality. And a dunk with 3 people left standing, shooting at the Rainmaker. A-State Black able to slip through the defenses after getting that critical pick on that heavy edit. And that is just the most heart-wrenching thing if you're on the side of HLG Gold, because you had everything going for you. You had a perfect triple ink strike in that corner to capitalize off of, and it was just unable to clear them out completely. And that's so frustrating if you're on that side. It's going to take a lot for them to bounce back from that.
Yeah, for sure. But thankfully, with this counterpicks format, they are going to be basically handed the tools to bounce back in whichever way they please. So obviously, as you said, they're probably going to be a little bit shaken up here, given the fact that, as you said before, they had been previously successful with that map mode in this tournament. So when another team says, "All right, we'll do what you do, but better," it might stagger your confidence a little bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. It starts making you second guess. Like, these are players that have been running the same comp like the entire tournament, right? And all of a sudden you might start thinking like, all right, well, should we switch off? Is there something we need to change up, right? Like, is there a certain adjustment that we need to make individually? Is there an adjustment we need to make as a team, right? And all of these thoughts start flowing through your head, and it can kind of distract you from those bigger pictures, and it can cause you to hesitate from the future.
Yeah, definitely might cause a bit of hesitation for the members of HLG Gold. But when you think about it in the format, in any sort of counter picks scenario like this, where the matchup is going to be pretty close, it's always good to be that team that won that first game, because no matter what, like, even if it's a back and forth pattern, you're still the team that's going to win it first. Like, the other team is going to have to take 2 in a row. They're going to have to win on one of your counter picks most likely. So that's the situation they're dealing with here. They should still have a level of confidence in them because they have the overall set advantage.
Right, exactly. And they can, on that game 5, they're going to be in control. They're going to be in the driver's seat, and they have that at the very least to push them through to the end. We are going to be waiting on their current counter pick for right now. Although I'm curious, I doubt they're going to go with something like Rainmaker again. I doubt it. I would rather see them do something like a zones, because although I don't, they're gonna have to correct me if the counter pick rules are as of normal. But if they can't do zones, like tower is perfect for that blaster, right? Like, seems like they know how to use their trip strikes well. They know how to put that blaster around the tower, and they would be very good at managing that and going on something like ship shape, right?
Yeah, for sure. Let me, since we do have some time here, let me try and pull up the rules list since I know Vapor pinged us, I believe, with the list like a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the rule set. Yes, here we are. Contact info, introduction. Oh my goodness, this is like a textbook. Wow.
Yes.
Control F, counter picks. Oh, I can't spell.
Oh no.
Counterpick system. All right. Process below. For all matches, the following games will be determined. Counterpick system. The team that lost the previous game must choose a map and mode within the map pool where they have not won a previous game in the current match. For example, winning on Splat Zone's Macomart means you cannot counterpick Splat Zones as the mode or Macomart as the map.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's zones is out of the question for HLG Gold at this point in time. And if they were really feeling that spicy Mako tower control pick, if that's an option, they're not allowed to do that either.
No. That's funny. I do believe it came through as Humpback. No.
No,
Museum clams.
it did.
Museum
That was a game
clams.
ago. Yeah.
Right. It's a little bit early.
It's 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock. It's a little bit early. We are going to be on Museum Clams, where yesterday they did take a victory on the side of HLG Gold, and we are going to be seeing if this consistent team can end up making that adjustment. They're very good on defense. I will give them that. They just need to try and solidify that on this map mode where they have plenty of advantage.
Yeah, this map mode in particular, I've said this in the past, I think this is one of the harder map modes to formulate a push on. I feel like when it's two teams that are close as well, and one has a very good defensive side, we might not see a clam dunk for a while, if I'm going to be a guesser here.
Yeah, exactly. It really sets apart the strong from the mediocre, right? Like it's one of those map modes that is so essential to making teams better at the video game. And if they can A, put up good defensive, and B, understand at least how to make those pushes happen, then it really shows that they know what they're doing. They know how to create space and make opportunities for themselves. Speaking of opportunities, it seems like Soldier Emu is diving forward trying to make an opportunity and is not able to do so. That decavitator from Away Healer able to slice through the opposition on HLG Gold. They're going to be trying to dash forward with that clam, but not able to land anything just quite yet. And that looks like A-State Black, while having a good opportunity, is not quite where they need to be.
Yeah, I was just feeling earlier, Away Healer looked like they were waiting for quite some time for some sort of opportunity to present itself before dropping from their plat there. Just standing there, dishing out some paint, and kind of playing defensive and saying, hey, I understand my teammates are down right now. You're not allowed to jump at my basket because I'm going to stand here and wave my big stick at you. So I'm glad they were able to break free from that for the time being here. But now it feels like we're back in that stalemate position. That Tacticooler is going to get popped, though, for the members of HLG Gold, which should signify the start of something here. We have that Kraken at the ready as well. Looks like Big Nut looking for a place to maybe pop that and create a bigger window for their team, but not quite able to find that before Away Healer finds them.
And this is exactly what we talked about, right? The hesitation that might be starting for HLG Gold. They had a few moments there where they had an opportunity, but now it's completely flipped on its head. That's a dunk going for the basket. 3 down on A-State Black, but they're going to strike first and get that first good push in. We're going to have to see if the members of HLG Gold can move into mid and start to set themselves up again, and this time make a decisive play instead of letting that decavitator come in a bubble, instead of letting those tri-strikes come through and stop their operations.
Yeah, for sure. We do see Moonview taking a bit of a back seat here, looking at where people might be entering in from. Acknowledges, all right, I'm the guy with the tacticooler. I need to be supportive for my team right now. I need to make sure that I'm keeping them alive. And honestly, doing a really good job at it. Just, you can see how far they're scouting out people on the side of HLG Gold. And it kind of feels like with less than 2 minutes left, we're trying to determine how we're going to approach this game from here. Obviously, 80 is not very confident of a push, but on the other side, it is a hard map to push into. I've seen teams actually defend pushes like that before. It's not easy, but it's something that is accomplishable.
And speaking of accomplishable, let's see if Big Nut accomplishes a couple of nice picks with this Kraken, able to at least find one and help with the second, but Away Healer somehow survived through it all, and that's the members of HLG Gold going down once again. The big clam is going to be online for A-State Black. They've got a couple of nice opportunities, but no, the paint was there. Seemed like the positioning was solid, but they were just a little bit too far back to help Away Healer solidify the makings of that push. And now it's HLG Gold who's going to try this again. And this is what we mean when we say that it's so hard to formulate anything on Museum Clams. It is just such a very, I don't want to say simple defensive map, but something that is very easy to execute.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, I wouldn't say simple myself. I would say it's actually very complex to defend on it. It's hard to get in because it's just like there's an easy path, but it takes forever, so everyone can see it coming. And then there's a harder path, which is like, all right, you're going to be in the air vulnerable for like 3 seconds while you're doing it. So, like, pick your poison in that scenario. Right. And it seems like most teams tend to opt for the easier but longer route. Although that does allow people to respawn. With 10 seconds left on the board, though, we're still sitting on that one singular 20 push. But seems like HLG Gold was just able to sneak by the members of A-State Black who had been pushing them. Going down to 68 here, that's just one power clam and a little bit more. That T-Tech going to be jumping out and trying to defend this here. Obviously, A-State Black dealing with like half the irregular amount of overtime most teams get here. So they're really going to have to rush this if they want to make a push here in the last few seconds of this game. No. And that is going to be it for HLG.
HLG got a nice 3-piece meal to finish up that last push from A-State Black and just decided, hey, mid is basically entirely painted. Let's just stroll on over there and get this clam in. And even if they go down, they've got so much time to respawn and it's the end of the game. It's such... At that point, they have to, again, pick the poison of, do we go slow or do we try and make this fast play where it's super, super precarious for us to try and even get up there. And so they just had no opportunity. They were completely out of resources and out of time, and A-State Black just could not formulate it right at the very end in that overtime.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a struggle there. Obviously, it's a tough decision on a map like that, whether you want to keep pushing it. And obviously, they were trying to get in there, but in doing so, kind of lost sight of what was going on behind them, which unfortunately, in this case, was the members of HLG Gold hopping in and getting towards their basket, just barely sneaking through there. So I think it's kind of just a difficult situation there. There's not that much more that can really be said about it, because you I think their most defensive player was probably their NZAP. So it's like, all right, well, NZAP can very reasonably watch angles, but also they want to be in those fights. They want to be the one pushing up with their team as well. So it's kind of just a coin flip of, all right, are we keeping track of what's going on as well behind us? But, we have eyes on the front of our faces, not on both sides.
Right.
Thankfully, because that would be terrifying. So what's the expectation here?
And there's something to also be said about, how many times they had some chances in the other stages of that game, right? In the first half, right? They had a couple of chances where they were looking at the ramp, they were trying to make their way up, and they just got stopped at the door or weren't fully ready to make those movements, and they overextended. And so it's a lot of opportunities that just went to the wayside and created that situation in the first place. And they're probably going to be, they could probably look over those 5 minutes and find so many things to improve on from this point forward. It seems as though we do have the counter pick up next from A State Black. That is going to be TC Inkblot. TC
Okay.
Inkblot. Yeah, right? And which is not what I would have thought at all.
No, actually, you know what? I think this is exactly what they would probably go with. It's another momentum map. I was actually just talking about this yesterday. I was on SAC, and there were some teams picking this, and it was a lot of like these teams that kind of had a hard time with defense, because I find more often than not nowadays TC Inkblot is like this super quick momentum map. Like it just goes by really quickly. You get one good push and a half, and it's like you're basically done. It's very lockout heavy, I find, especially in this current meta. So this actually doesn't shock me at all. If they're gonna try and replicate what they did earlier on Rainmaker, they're gonna want to try and do it here. They're going for the one and done, basically.
Yeah, they're gonna try and use their strong a strong opening to see if they can't move that needle forward and put them into that game 5 situation. I see the vision. Okay, I needed a little bit of help on that one.
Yeah, for sure. And with that decav putting in such work that they have been so far for A State, I can totally see the vision as well, with that bubble moving in, get that propped up on the bats. Like, I'm hoping they're not listening into this. I'm giving them all the industry secrets, but they probably already know these things already.
I would hope so, right?
Yep.
I think at the end of the day, though, it really is going to come down to whether or not they can shut down HLG and stop them from having those defensive resources, right? That edit has been in some iffy positions, I think, right? And I've seen them get picked off a couple of times, like maybe situations where they shouldn't have. And that, to me, as a player, goes, okay, I can definitely like pinpoint that and find those opportunities to help create situations where they don't have a cooler, where they aren't going to have that like nice paint support and long range help, and we can just try and single them out. And so we're going to have to see if they can manage that. Again, this blaster is going to be such a difficult way to keep them off the tower, and the Kraken as well. It's going to be a matter of shutting them down and winning their fights.
Yeah, for sure. Shutting down definitely going to be the goal here. We see this 52 cal playing kind of sneaky there. Very coincidentally, that shot kind of landing on their head at the beginning there. So playing around these walls very carefully, sneaking up on those sides, trying to hopefully deal with this blaster, but Moonview unfortunately ending up on the wrong side of that splash wall at the exact wrong moment. But you can see A State Black just chucking as many suction bombs on the tower as possible to avoid HLG from building any kind of momentum this early on in the game.
That's right. Speaking of momentum, it seems like it's already starting to swing in their favor. 2 members down on the side of A State Black, and importantly, it is that decav, it is that Neo Splash who keeps going down, so they're not going to have the strikes necessary to shut down this tower push and stop them in their tracks. A good poke from Away Healer and the Tri-Stringer, and that's going to lead to a very solid play from the members of A State Black, and there's a reason they picked this, and they are so good with that defensive angle. That was so clean.
That was very clean, a very quick cleanup of everything. So yeah, clean in more ways than one, I suppose. Taking out 3 members of the side of HLG Gold. So looking like we're trying to reclaim mid and using that killer whale actually to spot out the members of HLG Gold. A very smart usage of it here, using it at the beginning of the push, knowing which angles to pursue further on. That bubble's gonna go out on a tower. We're getting people set up on this right side here. Gonna pinch Chris from behind there. Sees that blaster and takes them out as well on the way down.
Okay, this is it. This is exactly what A-State Black was looking for. They just need to keep the snowball rolling down the hill, and it seems like they've got Moonvu in the position to do so. The Kraken being forced out, honestly, pretty early. There's no support from the teammates to make sure that it can get the picks that it needs, but Big Nut is going to turn this one around. It's going to shut down the tower, and that's not the lead for A-State Black just yet. It wasn't enough time to get the teammates back in position, and it was Big Nut with such a huge play.
Big Nut holding on to their lead for that time being, but looks like A-State Black was actually able to hop on for just long enough to get a 1-point lead. You missed that entirely, but they hopped on for just a second there, and I was surprised they just had that decav on that tower there before, because as you know, Krakens are kind of allergic to tower. You can easily push one off with a shooter as long as you have one around. So it looks like with just that decav and only being able to shoot every once in a while, that Kraken was able to just sneak on a little bit longer there. So now HLG Gold back in the situation here where they obviously want to get that lead back. They want to seal the deal for the set now. They want to take them out here. But as you can see, A-State Black not looking to go down without a fight.
Definitely not. They're in the lead. They're in the driver's seat. And there's a Kraken online for HLG, but I mean, if they have to burn so many resources here, it's a minute 30 left in the game. You have to start thinking of, will we have enough time? Will we have enough resources left to make a good push of our own, especially if that custom range blaster goes down? They're doing such a good job of kind of trying to bait out the members of HLG Gold here, right? They're not committing to a push. They're kind of just painting around, seeing what they can do, getting their specials, and now they're going to come through as a giant wave.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to at least keep the tower on the side of HLG Gold's turf here, and just make sure it's not on their side of the map, because that's where things can get a little bit sticky, especially when there's no checkpoint in the way of that lead whatsoever there. So pretty much just as long as the tower is away from them gaining the lead, it's definitely more in your favor here. So as long as they keep tapping it for the next 30-40 seconds, they're going to be able to hold on to things for a little bit longer here. That Kraken's going to get popped on tower, push anyone trying to bait out the tower away from it for the time being. Those strikes coming out as well, albeit maybe a little bit early, though. 2 people going down. I don't know what's going to happen here.
Mr. Peanut did a great job of not only sending out the strikes, but then following up on the space taken, pushing back the tri-stringer. Big Nut riding this tower, gonna fall off just at the last moment before getting the lead. There's a crab online as well as strikes on the side of A-State Black, and there's a decav with a bubble as well. There's a Zuka on the side of HLG Gold. Is it going to be enough damage? There's someone in the backfield! And Way Healer! And the one from the side! That's gonna be 3 down on HLG Gold! A-State Black! Wait a minute! Players on the side of HLG! The Tri-Strikers trying to walk on but can't! The Tri-Strikes are gonna prevent anyone from getting on! And HLG Gold takes the set! What?
What? That was so insane. It was just Mr. Peanut who was alive on the tower there. In overtime, they had to win like 2 different gunfights to even continue the game, to even risk getting towards that checkpoint. What?
Because they had like 3 people down. They had 3 people down. How did they get those jumps into the first place? I need a replay. I need to watch that back right now, because that was insane. That was absolutely insane. Oh. Gosh.
You say that, and like we're mind blown by what we just saw. But as I'm seeing, oh, hey, just Mr. Peanut, and then everyone comes back in, and there's a bubble from A-State Black still sitting on the tower there, and they're standing inside of it.
I guess what must have happened is that a Way Healer must have gotten onto the tower, popped bubble without realizing there was another person on there, or something. And that time where the bubble activated was enough time for Mr. Peanut to get on there and take them down. Because, that's just so insane. That's so insane.
I think it was popped to prevent somebody from getting on, yeah, but Mr. Peanut was already on the tower, and even though there was 2 people from A-State approaching it, it looks like Mr. Peanut was just able to knock them off long enough and deal with it. Like, wow. Anyways, we do have another match apparently that's already ready
Yes.
for us to look at. It's hard when we're like mind blown and we just want to linger on that and like be like, whoa, but seems like Goomies versus Turnpike is what we're going to be going into very momentarily here.
Ooh, okay, I do have a little bit of a scoop on Turnpike as well. But yeah, I will just say to finish off the last number, A-State Black is not out of the tournament. They are just out of winner side. It is double elim. They do have a chance to try and make a legendary run, but they have a long road ahead of them. HLG Gold's going to be advancing to winners semis, and that's where we're heading next, except on the opposite side. We have Turnpike versus Goomies. Turnpike is from the New Jersey Institute of Technology, NJIT.
Oh, I know people from there. I didn't know they had a Splatoon team.
They have like 3.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I gotta tell all my NGIT friends about that.
So yeah, so they've actually been around for a little while. Actually, I think I know. I don't know if you know FISHFISHFISH, but he was one of the people who like started that like years and years ago. And so he kind of like sometimes helps out a little bit, checks in. So I got a little bit of a scoop. They have some cracked players.
Wow. I mean, not surprised. Everyone I know from New Jersey is cracked, so as you know.
As I know. Do you want to give the stream chat the info, or are we just gonna leave it there?
About my New Jersey friends?
Yes.
Okay, so obviously my partner, Shy3K, is from New Jersey, so I'm constantly in and out of the state from Canada, so New Jersey is like second home to me. But then I also was talking to Red, the Charger, who does the Dinosaur tournaments.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, they are also a New Jersey person. So just crazy Charger players, I guess. Just
nutty with it?
Oh, I think Henlo from Sonder is also New Jersey.
That makes sense to me, actually. Yeah.
So very, very good players. There's probably like a million more, but I'm doxing everybody on stream today.
Okay, looking at Goomies, I'm looking at their players right now because I wanted to get a little bit of a scoop. It looks like they've been running pencil edit.
Okay, like with
pencil edit
cooler?
slosher. Yeah, both with cooler. Pencil edit slosher, and then either blaster or sloshing machine.
I kind of like when teams double up on cooler sometimes. I think it's a special that's sometimes worth doubling up on because it lets you chain them, so you're almost in a state of being perpetually coolered. Because then you have one of your cooler generators, they also have a cooler, so that when they go down, they don't lose any of that special meter. So it's even easier to chain coolers on top of one another.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah. So as long as you're communicating, it's not like solo queue where it's like, oh, I have another cooler on my team. This is terrible. We're gonna pop it at the same time, and then we're gonna cry about it, and then it's not gonna matter. But yeah, definitely a different situation we have here if that's the case.
Okay, and the comp that they ran yesterday, they did run double cooler a couple times, but they've been switching to double slosher.
Okay, with the cooler,
like double V slosher.
Oh, double V slosher. I can maybe see that for zones, to be honest, with the double strikes. Honestly, strikes have a lot of uses in comp right now, so having a very strong main weapon paired with that special that has like, it's kind of the Swiss Army knife of Splatoon right now, I would say is pretty good. It caps the zone, it clears the tower, it like, you know, it's just a good special right now. It deals with crab tank, which is still annoying.
Very annoying.
A lot of things, so... I respect the grind, I respect the hustle, and as we get into this, we have a little bit of a mix of what you were mentioning before. We have that double V slosher, like you mentioned, a very paint-heavy comp, my goodness.
Yes, and then on the side of Turnpike, the NJIT team, we have the junior player, Inkblot, who has been an absolute staple of this team, I feel like. But okay, Bubble, sure. why not just get 2 over the lip of that top mid and just start moving all the way in? That was crazy.
All right. So we do have Goomies pushing in very well here. They've pushed in and got multiple picks, taking out Gabe. Go on, Magic.
I can't believe that it's just flowing. Like I don't know if you've played in these moments where all of a sudden your comp and your team play is just so synergistic that it feels like the game is singing to you, right? And you're just in this just complete symphony of damage and picks going down and plays going up, and like it just feels like the world is yours. And that's what it looked like for a good like 30-40 seconds from the members of Goomies, and it still is. My goodness, Stormcoder is gonna try and make something happen for the Turnpike, but that is 6 ticks left. That was 100-0.
You describing the harmony of that game just reminded me of that scene in The Emperor's New Groove where Pacha is describing how the sun hits his house just right.
Like, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah, I'm glad you accomplished it successfully. So, of course, Goomies very dominantly taking that game 1 there. Felt like they just were a well-greased gear. I don't know, what's the term? Wheel? Something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
All.
Oh, sure. Yes. And they got into the right spots at the right time. They had the right people where they needed to be. That pencil was doing the thing. They had the coolers. They were just out there getting picks with each other, as you hope to see in any synergistic Splatoon team.
Right. It is the fundamentals of good play, right? That is the ideal, right? And sure, I feel like that can happen at this level of play a bit more often than, let's say, like at the highest level, but the fact that these players can make that happen just shows how far forward they are, like how much they're progressing as a team, I think.
I'm so glad that Jordan is in chat and telling me a well-oiled machine. That is the term that I wanted, and I was hoping you would have it, Magic, but you were just like, yep, tick the boxes, sure. No, look, I was saying this yesterday because I just like I kept having analogies in my brain, but they wouldn't come out. I'm gonna start yapping because I know we have time between these counter picks. I was saying that like analogies don't exist until someone out there just invents them. So you can just make up whatever,
right, at
any time. It doesn't matter if someone said it before. You can just say it, and then someone maybe they might say it later. Who knows? It has to start somewhere.
Listen,
like, the CCA finals of Splatoon.
Shakespeare invented like so many words in the English language. Yeah. He just said anything. He was saying anything, and it worked. Language is anarchy. We have Hagglefish Zones as the next counter pick. I'm sorry. Did you want to continue that thought?
You know what? We have to counter pick, but we can keep yapping. It's Hagglefish. Like, what are you gonna say about it, right? It's zones on Hagglefish. It's wide. You run into the zone. You cap it. You move forward. Like, all right, perfect. Turnpike looking to redeem themselves on the mode of splat zones. Can't wait to see it. But for now, I'm gonna say there is a reason why we need to make dictionaries every year.
Yes.
Not every year, every once in a while. And then you can add things like Riz. Riz is a new word. I think they added it to the dictionary.
I think that they've added stuff like selfie. Like these are words that are actually in the English dictionary now and are officially words. It's crazy. Crazy stuff. Is that a pro?
Yes, Magic. We're in the year 2024 in the month of December. I don't actually know why they picked this, actually. I take that back.
Like, I get it got buffed, and, like, Crab is good, but just play Splash? Question mark?
I don't, you know what, to be fair though, I don't like Splash. It has like that deceiving range thing where it looks like it's shooting farther than it is, but if you have bad depth perception like I do, it's actually not doing it, and you're just like aiming 3 feet in front of your opponent, and I'm like, why isn't it not hitting? Yeah, I can see why they would pick that.
I guess Marker is just like a burst bomb with longer range, right? Almost.
I guess so.
Sure.
It's like any bomb, but better if you're good enough at it.
Yeah, exactly. The skill ceiling, and I believe that Sun can push that skill ceiling so far forward. We are going to be seeing a fun composition as well outside of that from Turnpike with the Explosher and the Sloshing Machine, 2 weapons that you really don't see too much nowadays. And I guess that's part of why, because Bubble was able to just move in and absolutely go off.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely don't want to have Bubble.mp4 sitting in your base there. But that Explo going to be able to get that splashdown out of the way and hopefully clear some space for their teammate. They only have about 20 ticks left on that clock, and it looks like Bubble there trying to pop those strikes and keep people out a little bit longer, but it seems like Inkblot has other plans, going to try and sneak up behind here. Only 5 seconds left to go. They're going to have to paint quite a bit here, or maybe get some help from their teammates. And looks like Storm came in just in time. 1 second left, and we have capped the zone.
Okay, Stormcoder finally going to be able to get the revenge on Bubble, and Rare is not going to be able to jump out in time. NJIT has a very good opportunity here to try and turn this thing around. They've got some specials coming online shortly as well. I mean, that was a good play from Inkblot, right? Like, going around the side where no one else is and completely cutting off the paint and the retreat path from the people in mid. That was solid.
Yeah, very good job there. So it's more of a question now of how are we going to sustain this? We've got to make sure we cap that zone and hold it there until knockout at this point. So on that journey to it, may have to burn through penalty a couple times there. I do like this positioning from the Bubble in front of the zone. Does force the members of Goomies to have to rethink their positioning here, and that does allow the Explo to sort of look, all right, they have 2 paths they can come from. I'm going to shoot at one, a 50-50 coin flip, and was able to get the pick from that.
Very solid play. All of a sudden, things have turned around. I think it is a lot due to that Explosher finding a better position, right? I mean, it just works so much better once you have that distance in between you and the other team for that Explosher to start working out. And it seems like they've got a good opportunity here to continue to make that happen. Unfortunately, goes down. Trip strikes on the zone, and 2 minutes left, and a lot of penalty to go through for Goomies to try and solidify this knockout. But they did not clear out Turnpike as far as they needed to.
Yeah, you really have to keep your back covered on this map mode, especially with members of Turnpike playing a little bit sneaky here. Is actually going to be able to get that Booyah bomb out. Even though it didn't take out anyone directly there, that's going to be 2 members down on pretty much either side, happening one after the other. It's just going to be Sun left on that zone there. Is going to have to back off a little bit, allow their teammates to jump in here. Somehow that Splash-O-Matic went down as well. So that might put a bit of a fork in the plan of Goomies.
And this is something that I noticed when I was watching the VOD from yesterday for Turnpike. It seems like they should be outmatched, and not to say that they're bad, but outclassed mechanically. Yet all of a sudden they find these situations. They get these crazy picks and find just the perfect spots to all of a sudden create enough chaos where they can take advantage of it. They get these bubbles in good positions, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, how do we move forward? This Explosher is just trying to like 90 this kid on this crab tank and just keep continuing to dodge shots. And it's stuff like that that allows them to start making progress, and it's hard to deal with for teams that are inexperienced.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying there. I really like this shift that Turnpike has had so far in this game. You see them waiting to get picks out of sheer force before popping their specials, which really help when you're not dealing with 4 people on the board there. Those bubbles getting popped in front of the zone when they already have a bit of a man advantage there. That's going to allow the Explo to play more aggressively. Look at all this damage output you have here. That's a very, very small penalty here. The Explo playing super aggressively does go down in the process, but at what cost? Okay, well, two ink strikes. Wow.
Yeah, that splashdown was I love that idea. Just did not find anyone, just slightly mistimed or didn't quite get over the lip, right? Like you can do with splashdown in some of those situations over those ledges. And because of that, just ended up not having enough paint, not having enough support, and ended up going down. And that was just the last domino to fall, right? They had the right idea, try and take down those trip strikes, try and take down the members of the team before they could start making that final push, but just could not finish it out. Made a really, really good comeback after going down super, super deep in the hole, but now they're with their backs against the wall.
Yeah, I definitely think it was the right decision for them to run forward and try and get a bit of picks there. Obviously, when you're dealing with the double ink strike there's not that much you can do on the zone to outpaint that kind of thing there. So you do actually need to get a pick. You cannot afford to let them get both of those strikes out. So I cannot even blame them for the choices that they had to make there. It's rough. It's rough for sure.
It's just that is exactly it. It's rough. Once you get down into that hole, you just have to start making risky plays. You know, try and make something happen. If you're O2 and you're the Turnpike and you're like, all right, we think that zones is our best mode, and now you've lost twice on it, what do you do?
Well, cry myself to sleep later because all of my confidence is shattered. But I probably switch to another mode. Obviously, it's kind of hard for me to say here because I feel like both of these teams have had very much a versatile strategy. Like not necessarily completely in their comps, but in the way that they play. So I feel like you definitely have to be zoning in on like whatever window of failure your opponent had and say, okay, I'm going to open this window as wide as I possibly can and then jump out of it. And so whatever they have zoned in on here, which for me, I would probably, maybe look at Rainmaker or something like that because it felt like they kept slipping. Goomies lost a lot of friction at times and were only able to catch it sometimes. So, okay.
Yeah.
We got our counter pick.
I think I like this actually. I think I like this because it's a lot easier for something like a sloshing machine to make to use the kind of cover, right? It's very much easier to set up like good bubbles for the junior as well as like bombing out their plat, right? I think that this works well for them. Clams though, I guess I can understand why, because it seems like they are able to create good chaos and prevent the teams from being super far forward super consistently, right? Like I feel like they're going to do a good job at defending the basket. I don't know if they're going to have it in them to make enough pushes to make a meaningful dent in the score to get them into the situation that they want to be in where they can play that defense.
I hear you, but how is this? If I'm playing against two sloshers for the last 2 games, I'm going to find whatever the map in the pool that has like literally the flattest thing, like the flattest stage possible and pick that because I don't want to fight them with any map that has any semblance of verticality. And unfortunately with ink block clams you're still dealing with those giant blocks on either side of mid there, and that's usually where like I would say about like a good 70% of the fights happen on this map. They're very much a central point. So that would be my number one concern is like, all right, I really don't want to meet with a slosher there because they don't even have to look at me to deal with me.
Gonna see if they can manage it still using this X-Blosher and the Slosher machine to try and keep those sloshers off of those stacks, and it seems for the time being that it's starting to work a little bit. Although, like you said, sometimes those shooters can end up being just absolute cannon fodder for these sloshers around those lips and ledges. This is going to be a good start, though, from Turnpike. X-Blosher is in a very prime position to keep them at bay, has the splashdown at the ready as well, and we're starting to see the first specials come out, and I don't know, maybe NJIT has cooked.
Maybe they have. Who knows? Well, we do see early on here Turnpike going 2 down there, but looks like that Bubble was able to bail them out for the time being. Now Bubble kind of stuck in a situation where he goes, oh no, you're on the other side of the wall. I don't want you to be here. I want you to be on the other side so I can slosh at you blindly. So looks like that did put a bit of a damper on things for that time being, as we're now looking at a bit of a replication of the situation we saw about 20 seconds ago, I would say.
Right, and I think that this is part of why NJIT picked this is because it is hard to continue that momentum, right? Like I said, like it's going to be easy for them to push this team off of the basket, right? Like look at this. They've already gotten their plat pretty much cleared. Bubble having to jump out there and ends up jumping to the wrong person, right? It's not too much of a dent in the score, and Turnpike can create enough chaos where they can all of a sudden find an opening and score a couple of clams. I feel like that's going to be their game plan moving forward. They just need to try and set that up, try and get enough clams to make that happen. And it looks like they're starting to mobilize in that goal.
Yeah, very good work from them early on, getting that push down to 70. Obviously, you don't want anything that can just be super easily cheesed. And as I say that, we already have Stormcoder getting set up under the basket. It's just going to be one slosher left on the side of Goomies to defend here. Trying to get a power clamp at the ready. They should still have that pity. I think that's what's actually jumping in here now. And that Explosher splashdown able to bail them out to get a very clean dunk into the basket. Even the defending side having to jump out of their own base to deal with this push.
Wow, and the bubble 2 getting set up is just a cherry on top, truly. They were able to get that so far down, and that was kind of my key point, right? They needed to make a huge dent in the score, and they've done so. Now they can play defense. Now they can prevent people from really going on those stacks, and this Explosher can sit on that plat basically all game if he wants to, and make sure that they have no chance to get in. Look at the beautiful flank from Sun, and this is exactly why this situation is so essential for them.
Hey, but as you've probably heard before, Magic, the best offense is defense. Even though Gabe could probably just sit in plat for as long as they want, they're going to probably want to try and move up and get as many picks while Goomies is sitting there recuperating. And unfortunately, with that cruel strike just shredding through that bubble there, that is going to be the signification of the junior going down there. Seems like Bubbles has gone in behind them, but doesn't even need to jump in. Burger's going to run in right from the front. They get that dunk, and that is going to be the lead.
Wow, a perfectly executed push on the side of Goomies. Like that is exactly what you want to try and do when you see a 3-down situation. You see you get a wipeout, right? You're trying to move all the way in, get as many different angles as you can, collect all the clams along the way, and quickly get into those positions where you can get those couple of dunks, and before you know it, boom, that's lead, and that might even be the game if the Turnpike can't get one more push in.
Yeah, Turnpike definitely probably a little bit nervous here. They have quite a bit of penalty to burn through here if they want to regain that lead for themselves. Taking out Bubble, that's actually going to be pretty huge here. Burger's going to have to be backed up a little bit, played a little bit more safe, does not want to meet the Explosher in any shape or form at this point in the time. I don't think. It's a very vulnerable position to be in any spot where you can't really run away quickly. So looks like Rare are going to opt into flanking the members of Turnpike. Doesn't quite work out super well. We do have 30 seconds left here, and I don't know. Seems like Goomies is doubling down on the full defense approach here.
Inkblock gonna try and get that bubble down, is able to land it, and Gabe is able to jump in with the splashdown, try and take down this pencil, and is able to. Hold on, that's the cooler going down. This is as good as opportunity as they're gonna get. Burger and Bubble are still alive with these sloshers that have been tearing apart the members of Turnpike, and they're able to get one more pick. Burger doing such a good job. They've got the trip strikes at the ready. I don't think there's enough time to even get this clam in at this point. Stormcoder not able to find any way in, and that is Turnpike going down 0-3. Goomies with such good, solid play for 3 games straight. And they are going to be advancing to the winners finals of Division 3.
Wow, a very decisive match for them. And it seems like, let me take a look here at this wonderful bracket. Division 3, top cut. I think on paper that's actually an upset.
Really?
Yeah, I believe Turnpike was seed 2 for this, and Goomies seed 3.
Very well, very well. A fantastic showing then, right? Completely pushing past any of the expectations that folks, at least on the seeding chart, had of them.
Well, with
That
it being a
is
circuit, I think that could have
fantastic.
been score based as well.
Yeah, I think it was. Let me, because I have it pulled up right here. Goomies was actually first in terms of the circuit points
Oh.
in Division 3. So they were able to land that top spot. Probably the seeds came from where they placed yesterday, I guess.
Oh, that's very pot. Let me take a look at that actually as well. That intrigues me.
This intrigues me most essentially.
Did not finish. Turnpike and Goomies did not finish? That doesn't sound
Well,
right, but
when they get 3 wins,
oh,
they
they
get,
stop.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I can see how that might mess things a little bit though. So it looks like Goomies probably it looks like they had one loss yesterday. And that's what brought them down below Turnpike because Turnpike had 3 wins and then stopped there and didn't have any losses yesterday. So I think just as far
Mm,
as Battlefy and how they, calculate things, that adds up to a certain thing. But more likely than
mhm.
not, what happened is Goomies ran into a very scary opponent and just lost that one set there, but have otherwise just been just what's a good term for this?
They've just been
Oh,
solid.
they've been solid, yes. Looks like yeah, they had their first set of the day yesterday. They went down to USF Splatoon Green in a 2-3 loss. It went to game 5.
That that is so interesting. USF Green was one of the teams that I was looking at, like when I saw them on stream yesterday. It looked like they were going to be like one of the people that easily made it in, and then they got completely reverse swept, even though they looked so strong in those first 2 games that I watched, and they weren't able to make it to day 2, which is crazy, because I think they were really solid coming in. But that just goes to show that like even this division has some like a very competitive level, right? The teams are very much competitive with each other, and they're playing like they're pushing each other, and the fact that even teams that looked so solid are getting kicked off means that this is the teams should be proud of what they're managing today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all culminated in this, and regardless of how you performed yesterday, or if you're here today and you're surprised by that somehow, I think all teams should be proud to have made it to this, the finals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. I believe the match on the other side of the bracket is 1-1 right now with HLG Gold UConn versus HLG Gold versus the UConn Siberian Squids. But I
Are they
don't think that we have
actually?
any updates on that right now.
What's school is UConn Siberian Squids? I gotta know.
UConn, University of Connecticut.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, it's just saying UConn. It's not gonna clear things up to a Canadian, unfortunately.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, that makes sense.
oh, UConn. Oh, like the territory in Canada, UConn.
No, spelled differently.
I know. That UConn.
Yeah, exactly. We're the potatoes.
Hmm. But yeah. Oh, wait. Okay, now they're up 2-1.
Really? Oh, interesting. Interesting. Are we gonna have? Okay, so UConn we did not see yet, and I don't think they were on stream yesterday. I believe they finished. They were actually one of the wild card picks for Div 3 to make it into top cut. They so for those who are unaware, there were 12 teams that got in by the amount of points that they had over the 5 circuit qualifiers, and then there were 4 teams in each division that got placed in by by the staff and like a group of people who said this team should probably be in the top cut. Like we either how they performed in certain tourneys or like kind of that like all right, we'll give it to them, kind of thing. And so they were the first wild card, and have been tearing it up. It looks like for the entirety of yesterday and today.
Yeah, looks like it. I'm starting to also look at the loser side of the bracket, see how our good friends are hanging out there as well. Seems like A State Black is 1-1 in their set against Executioners, which
Mhm.
of course the winner of that will face Turnpike on that side in round 2 of losers. And on the other side, the bottom half of the losers bracket, we see Pennsylvania State Fish, taking their set against the Table Turp Troop.
Did you know that PSU Fish has a undercover one trick?
Is that not Kraken?
It's not. It is not Kraken Mare. In fact, it is not Kraken Bear, but they play very much like Kraken Bear would. I saw them in Clam's Inkblot. They were sitting on not where ramp is, but like over to the corner, that ramp that goes to tree. They had 2 ink mines set up there, and they were just there like the entire game, and just poking out, and then reef sliding when they pushed in.
That's what I like used to do, but with Rapid Blast. I would just like control the most annoying areas. Like if it was like Scorch, you like put 2 ink mines down on that pillow on the left
Mm-hmm.
side if people are pushing in for like clams. And then I would just stand around the area and make sure no one could do anything. I'm annoying.
Crazy. That's crazy.
And then we would play 2 ink mine weapons on splat zones on like Wahoo. This is the beginning of Splatoon 3 when we were still playing Wahoo zones. And we put like 4 of them all on the zone so that if anyone went onto the zone, it would all explode at the same time and just cap back into our color. I love ink mine shenanigans. I'm kind of sad that it's not relevant. Not as relevant, I suppose, now that we have all these alternatives and line marker and things that actually get splats rather than just exist as a nuisance.
I know. I feel like in 2, even ink mines were like a little bit stronger. Like I wouldn't even call them like stronger, but they were just a lot of weapons that had a lot of strong weapons that had ink mines, and people had to learn how to use them well. And like the map modes were often like very congested. That ink mines were really like pretty solid on them anyways. But
Yeah.
now it's not.
Yeah, there's not as many like little choke points on maps anymore, which I do kind of miss about Splatoon 2. The wideness and the flatness and the hallways and stuff in Splatoon 3 has kind of actually only done more to make the game faster, which like for a lot of people faster is a lot more fun. But you and I have had this discussion before about how the game is starting to outpace the boomers like you.
Yes.
And where like plays have evolved from reactive in Splatoon 2 to now it's like predictive. Like we have to like think of what the opponent wants to do and then get set up in a way that prevents it first rather than like, oh, they're popping this now, I can go run at them.
Right, exactly. It's such an interesting discussion too, right? Like is faster better? Is kind of what I was getting at with that conversation, because it's a valid question, I think, right? Is it testing, and this comes down to ideas of like, all right, what should we value as Splatoon players in kind of the arena that has been created for us? Should we value these very like I don't want to say like set in stone, but like very like I'm gonna pop this special and make this team coordinated play, and I value that, or do I value this? Okay, how do we like use our individual skills and play this like super like chaotic game to try and shut down things before they happen, right?
Right.
And I think that that's such an interesting conversation that we could have for hours.
And on that note, actually, I believe in like early Splatoon 2, there were so many teams that were playing kind of suboptimally because we still had these preconceived notions that Splatoon 1 had kind of dropped on us. There was a lot of like, well, now we don't have like stealth jump is not as broken as it was before. So like we have to play kind of weird and like like
Hmm.
it was almost like a very hesitant style of playing. There was honestly, I just like looking back, I don't know how to describe early Splatoon 2 other than just strange. But by the
Yeah.
time we got to the end of that game's life cycle, I am sure you felt this as a commentator as well. There was like one proper way to play any map mode, and then it was like every time you were loading into a game, you knew what each team was going to pull out. Okay, we
Yeah.
have our token Rainmaker on Black Belly, so I'm going to see a Stingray out of each team, and that's the win con, because if you get rid of the Stingray, then you can push. If a team has a Stingray, they can push, they can defend. What are like, there was just no surprise. It was like, well, now there's the Stingray and here's the game.
Right. It almost felt like an execution test of the very, very structured way to attack these maps, rather than like trying to figure out how to break that. Right. And I think that there was still like some variation. Right. But like you said, it was as soon as you saw the four weapons on the top of the screen, you knew exactly what the game plan was, and it was just going to be a matter of seeing how it plays out,
Yeah.
rather than like now it if there's two sloshers, right? I mean, yeah, it makes sense what they're going to do, what they're going to be trying to do, but there's a lot of different ways that they could go about it to try and attack Inkblot clams, right? Like you wouldn't have expected that slosher to be all the way up in bats, right? But
Mhm.
it worked out.
Yeah, I that does bring me back to, I'm going to sound like a boomer when I say this, but you probably remember Riptide 2021, right? And that was what made that tournament so exciting, because they load into Humpback Pump Track and there's suddenly a silver arrow spray on one of the best teams in North America, and you're like, what is
What
going
in the
on? I'm so excited.
absolute.
And there was a like a rapid, like a weird rapid pick too. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was when VJet was first only starting to get picked, and like it was the only one that had showed up the entire tournament. Like that Riptide 2021. I could go on and on about Riptide 2021 as well. That was such a pivotal turning point, I think, in like the Splatoon competitive Splatoon scenes like lifespan.
Oh, for sure, for sure. That changed everything, I think, for a lot of people, because we were very locked into like what was going to happen until that point in time. So
Yeah.
it was really excited to see teams literally live going back to the drawing board in person and coming back with that somehow. So very, very exciting. I remember having my little talk with Kenneth Bot before I went live there, and he was like, "Yeah, like that team, like they just lost. Like here's the storyline, Cyren. Okay, they're sitting down right now. They're planning out how they're gonna win." You like my K-pop impression? I can tell.
I do like your K-Bod impression very much so.
Like he was like his first time getting away from TOing for like that whole weekend, and I was just sitting there eating my breakfast, and he's like, "This is what's gonna happen here." Like so much fun.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, uh, can you believe that that was 3 years ago?
Yes. I can. It does feel like that long for me at this point.
Yeah.
But there is that part of me that's like, okay, we had Splatoon 2 from 2017 to 2022. That's about 5 years.
Hmm.
Now we have Splatoon 3 for
2 years.
how many? 2 years. 2022 to now. Wow. This is going to be the third year of it. But like it feels like Splatoon 2 as a whole went by very, very quickly.
I agree. I very much agree with that. It felt like that period of time was very much faster, and like now all of a sudden it's like I feel like I've been in Splatoon 3 for as long as I was in Splatoon 2, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel as well, and I guess from the perspective of my team as well, if I'm starting to yap about my team again, um, we have the time, you know. Oh, do
We
we?
do.
Okay,
Nah.
they're about to play the last game of that set. We have like another 5 minutes. They're going to game 5, and the other set we're waiting on. So, um, I think I've actually been on Assault and Pepper longer in Splatoon 3 than I have in Splatoon 2, which is starting to feel weird.
That is weird.
Yeah. I've been on this team for a while though. This is like one of the oldest teams in Splatoon. Like, unless Los explodes one day, we'll probably never be the oldest team. But
My gosh.
yeah,
I can't believe Los still exists.
I can. If you meet Teresa, you're like, yeah, I understand why you play the game all the time. Like, you love this. This is like your favorite.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I just love people passionate about the game and the community, and like they're the reason why I keep going. Sometimes I do get a little demotivated and I'm like, man, what's still here for me? Like, I'm replaceable in my head, but then I see the community and they're awesome. So it's I have to remind myself, things aren't terrible. Like
Things are not terrible.
like I'd like to convince myself otherwise, but it's really not bad.
And it is such an interesting thought process too, like being replaceable. But at the end of the day, like it comes down to whether or not people want to make things happen, right? Mm-hmm. If you still have that passion, just keep going for it. Even if someone else can do it, why not? Why not try and put your best foot forward?
Exactly.
I'm about to get on my motivational soapbox here, and I'm trying to prevent myself from getting all the way there.
You're past your demotivational arc. You're onto your motivational arc. This is your era. I saw your like 5-minute long TikTok about leaving the community, but look at you sitting in your little chair with your Splatoon poster behind you on the Splatoon Collegiate.
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed. Everyone who says they're gonna leave the game never actually leaves the game. So if you're actually trying to leave Magic, you just need to like not say anything about it. It's true though, when you think about it, all the people that have actually left the game never said anything about it. They just left.
Yeah. No, 100%. And
then you like think about, like, you watch a VOD from like 5 years. Oh, what happened to that guy? Oh, he quit. He just didn't say it.
Where's Plantro? Remember Plantro?
Of course I remember Plantro.
Where did Plantro go? That guy was the bucket god. And like I was just like jump scared by a screenshot that Gray posted from like 2018 Kraken Paradise, and I was like, what is going on?
Shoutouts to Binks. Like half of Notorious is gone. There's like half of the other In Control Seafood Sorbet. Like, yeah. What happened to Z's? Z's. And,
where did Z's go?
Well, I still see Quake tweet sometimes, or Quack3. Sometimes he tweets, like, everyone. It's usually just at Simo. He'll just be like, "Hey, Simo." Like,
okay.
That's it. But like, he's not. I don't think. I think he's in solo queue sometimes. He's like casual, but yeah, there's a lot of people who just like they just leave. They don't say anything, and that's it. That's that.
And that's the way it should be. But you know, I'm a theatrical egotist, obviously. Oh, and that's why I haven't left yet. No, but I just wanted to. They asked me to come on to this broadcast in particular, and I was like, you know what? I've been yapping about CCA for a while, and I want to support them if they're gonna ask me to do something, you know.
And I was like, how did they know that Magic's my old commentary partner when they messaged me? I was like, that's the guy.
I specifically asked for you.
Oh, you did?
Okay. Yeah, of course I did.
Well, Vapor, when he messaged me, he was like, well, this exact same message is being sent to Magic. And I was like, oh, so they just like both sent us this message at the same time. That was the impression I got. No,
because I think they pinged me before they sent that out, and I was like, "Can I get on with Cyren? Let's run it back one more time." And now we're here.
I found the VOD of that commentary set we did at the beginning of Splatoon 3 when I was still like recovering from the plague.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Yeah, I sounded so raspy. It's so funny. Love that.
You know what is actually also crazy to think about is that we've been because I think you started around the same time that I did, but I could be wrong. Did you start in like 2020?
I started before that. I started in, well, I guess at the beginning of 2020 was when I started actually. So I did, to be honest, no one gave me a chance to commentate. Like, I wanted to commentate before I got into it, and I would like apply and I would always get rejected. Um but I asked Pacecat pretty please on my birthday at a Squid social in Toronto. It was just like a random thing. It was just like a salmon run event. And I was like, please. And he's like, okay, birthday girl, hop on mic. And then he was like, after the event, he was like, yo, you're like good at this. Like, like, why haven't you done this more? And I'm like, I keep trying and no one will let me.
That is so sad, actually.
It was a lot harder back then to like get commentary gigs because it was like, okay, we want people with experience, and then like, how do I? It's just like the job market.
It's like the job market.
Yeah.
Producers
There's,
confirming.
there's so many opportunities now. It's awesome. I'm so glad like the game has gotten so much bigger. But literally, like, my birthday's in November. I immediately did Genesis in January right after that. That was like my next commentary event.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Very well, very well. Yeah, no, I started in 2020. I was like, "Hey, Kbot, how do I do this thing? How do I do this commentary thing?" And he was like, "Well, let me show you." And we did like a couple of things, and then I think I asked to be on SOS, and they said like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Because I think at that point SOS was like just starting, and they were like still looking for people. And I was
Mm.
like, and I slid in really quickly, and I think that's how I got my start.
Yeah, I love this boomer talk, like the boomer talk podcast for like 5-10 minutes while we stall for this round. Breaks. Who knows them? I don't know
I
them.
don't know them.
Uh,
Couldn't be me.
yep.
I still believe they're still in Game
Oh,
5.
nope.
Oh, they just got out. HLG
Okay.
Gold goes down to UConn, Siberian Squids, and we are going to be seeing UConn versus Goomies in winners finals of Division 3 Top Cut.
How exciting! I'm excited to see some more Goomies action. Maybe see perhaps just based on this seeding here. We'll have to see how that goes. But I mean, honestly, Goomies put on a pretty good show for us.
Oh yeah, 100%. And if UConn has been tearing through people as well, then I think this is going to be an unstoppable force versus an immovable object, and we're going to see sparks fly.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Pumped. Pumped.
Pumped. Let's get pumped up. Is chat pumped up? I want to see the chat get pumped up. I see
Nine's
people
on today,
chatting now.
right? He would be proud. He's like watching down on us.
He is on. I think he's going to be doing Div 1 finals with Austin.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm so excited to watch that vlog, actually.
Let me sit in between them. Let me get my little finger puppet again.
Oh, goodness.
The 9-hole grains googly eyes. You saw that bit, right?
I did.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. I think I still have them. I don't know if I should have given it to Meg.
No, you should have. No. Yeah. All right. Well, let me see what recon I can find on the UConn team here. I think I pulled it up. Yes, I have it right here. So they're running decav edit double splash.
Okay.
So
Well, that's
Neo
very
Splash,
aggressive.
Crab Splash.
Yeah, that's incredibly aggressive. Obviously you play edit in place of a pencil typically when you don't want a guy who just has to stand back and hit shots. It's very reliable. It gets to scrap with the rest of its team. And honestly, with how aggressive that Goomies has been playing, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing another team maybe match that level a little bit there, and not really have anyone who is just guy who stands back, I suppose, which is a
Guy.
very valid role. But you know, in this situation, it's going to be like everyone's mobile 24/7.
I think in the past they've done some other comps, right? But they've kind of kept that core of decaf edit for most of the qualifiers. But they've kind of like exchanged in some like rollers here every once in a while. They've tried to play in some like dualies occasionally, and so it's going to be they've still got some flexibility, but I think for the most part it's going to be them running this kind of heavily aggressive comp into the wall that is the Goomies.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm just like I'm just sitting here anticipating and excited about it. Maybe there's some there's maps I can look at. Let me take a look here. Anything I can look at and like start staring at, and it should be zones again at the beginning, I believe. Let's do some.
We're gonna do some digging, making sure we see exactly which map modes are gonna be on here. But for the time being, I think all in all, I'm gonna take Goomies for this.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, right, UConn was a what am I trying to say? Wild card spot. HLG looked good, but you know, I think all in all, Goomies looked like they were worlds ahead of the field, and it's going to take like a very very solid showing from UConn to take that. And also looking at their record from day one of the qualifier, it looked like they didn't run into that many heavy hitting teams. They didn't run into any teams that made it to day two, even though they got 3-0. And so all those factors combined, I think that they're going to be kind of running up against the wall here, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yes. So we are in. This should be winners finals, eh?
Yes.
So Splat Zones on Mahi is where we're starting.
Okay.
This one's the spicy zones one because it has the fact that it's not a real map until halfway through.
Right. It is actually just a one lane map instead of like having 3 or 4.
Yeah. Yep, like a lane and a half.
Yeah. And I think that works well for the decav edit, right? That's what I would think.
I think the issue with so decav is strong here. Edit, I'm not so sure about when I kind of like try and picture it on the map. Obviously, it can move up quite a bit, but it's really only going to become kind of impactful if they're able to get up into the base of their opponents, and that's obviously it's a tough ask. They're not going to just be able to hop up there the same way that a splatter shot would. They're definitely going to need their teammates to sort of pave that path for them first. Obviously, with the bubble, you can do that, but it's a matter of execution.
Let's see if they execute. This is winners finals of Division 3 for the top cut of CCA Season 5, and we are going to be seeing exactly as was predicted, as was predicated. And the zone is going to probably look to go to the side of UConn early. They're going to get a nice double up there onto the Splash-O-Matic from Goomies. But once again, we see the Sloshers duo from this Goomies team putting in so much work, already playing around these covers so well. And look at that range. I mean, it's just so oppressive on a map like this.
We have a DC.
Oh, goodness.
On the side of UConn. Maybe that is why we had so much time to yap during the other set. Hopefully this didn't happen to them earlier, but unfortunately seems to be happening now. I think the teams have stopped playing, at least UConn. Yeah, we're just standing here and there is a button combo. I hope they know that.
I believe they are. They did finally
looks like
stop playing.
Kilobyte's hitting that button combo.
Okay. Good.
Or not.
Thank goodness. Do they know?
Looks like we don't have any button comboers in chat.
They do not know the Konami code.
Oh, fine. Okay, Joseph Essor, you get some Cyren points. for that one.
But I believe that was in the disconnect rule. It was within the time for replay, so it looks like we're just going to be getting right back in there in just 1 second.
I like what Rose said. They had to get the dancing in first, and for sure, you got to get the moves in. Got to set the tone for the match. Got to show people what you're all about. Well, you still can, I suppose, because loser of this is gonna have to fight through that losers bracket. Ayo.
Yeah. No, but I feel like this is probably going to be the determined who goes to the lose. What am I trying to say here?
What are you trying to say?
I think that this is going to be the grand finals match. That's my prediction.
Well, that's pretty easy. That's like kind of like rubbing your temples together and going, ooh, I think it's gonna snow later, when it's like that's what the weather says. Like that's like 90% of tournaments, I would say, if you're both from the winner side. If it's seeded correctly, this is what should happen in grands as well, in theory, unless someone through early on in the tournament and now has to fight through losers bracket, and then or the seeding is weird and now they're like the 1 and 2 seeds had to play each other in round 1, and then winners finals is weird.
The only situation I could see is HLG Gold running it all the way back, which would be insane, and then taking out Goomies instead of having to face Turnpike. But that would be that's very far down the line. But hopefully Rose and Falco will give you a good showing for that. We're gonna get back into things here. We're going to see if it plays out in the same way from the beginning from UConn. Hopefully they are able to hold on to their connections for the time being. That heavy edit is running Thermalink, by the way.
I can kind of see the vision. Do I support the vision? No.
No. We are going to see Bubble and Burger start the same way that they started last game and get that early pick and early cap for the Goomies. It's going to be a very, very tough lockout situation, like you said, until that 60 mark goes through. We do see a couple of nice picks come through. Coolard on the side of Goomies, but Alex on this Decavitator is doing some great work on this map mode.
Yeah, very good job from Alex there, kind of pushing up. And, just in traditional Mahi style, whatever team wins that initial fight gets down to pretty much 60 for free. And we are finally seeing those tides change for them. So now UConn having an opportunity here to cap that zone, has that cooler popped, ready to gear up some momentum here, perhaps take that lead if they don't get that zone taken from them here and now. But just as I say that, commentators curse, and that's going to be 2 sloshers zoning in on everybody on the side of UConn.
That is going to be the capitalization and the penalty for UConn. Unfortunately, they are not able to get it through, but Goomies, once again, just showing how they're able to make such good work of this zone, of these long exchanges, right? I feel like that's the thing, is oftentimes, like, these exchanges go on for so long, and they're able to come up pretty consistently, even through all the chaos. Although, for right now, talk about a long fight that ended up not going their way. That was very good play, once again, from that Decavitator on the side of UConn. And I think that is their goal, is to just set him up.
Yeah, set him up and get him ready to position the aggressive play styles of the members of Goomies. That's what Decav really does the best. It's very much a face checker, and it will do that very quickly. So any sort of mistake in your play is going to get maximized, zoomed in on, and pointed out with a big giant laser. So good job of Alex to do that there. However, not going to bail out their team long enough to burn through that penalty of theirs. That is going to be a cap once again for the members of Goomies.
The penalties are so low at this point that we're basically starting from the original position, just with 40 points gone on each side. It's going to be a very dicey situation, especially with that Neo Splash-O-Matic going down and throwing out those trip strikes a bit too early, that they're not going to have much tools to get back in finally, this crab is able to make some good work happen to go down on the side of Goomies, and they're going to get that capitalization on the side of UConn, but it's going to be a matter of can they hold on to it long enough, and does Goomies have it in the tank to get that cap once again? We've seen them fast cap before. They just need to try and get it one more time.
I feel like every time we pan to Burger or Bubble, they're just playing like absolute vampires in the sense that they do not want to see sunlight. They are hugging walls. They're sitting in corners. They do not want to be seen visibly. They don't want any sort of fire or line looking at them in any shape or form. So I guess props to them for really bringing out the strengths of the slosher, but obviously that's going to cause a bit of a struggle for UConn here. I think the best that they can do is just try and manipulate the movement of these two sloshers, try and pull them out towards the zone, bring them towards themselves, and use their specials. As we're kind of seeing here, a minute left. Again, honestly, like you said before, we're basically looking at the beginning of the game. It's more or less a tie if one can be had in Splatoon.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so back and forth. Alex going to be going down. That bubble did not work out this time, popping it on the zone. Unfortunately, it's going to be another slosher going down. Oh, great bomb combo from Bubble, and that's going to lead Goomies to getting the lead back one more time. And 3 members going down. Alex able to jump in, is able to get one down. They're going to need to try and hold on for just a little bit longer to get their team back, keep the paint up. They're able to neutralize the zone, which actually could be a very big deal in the future. The edit is finally in position again, but goes down. Joseph Fesser is able to at least get the revenge, but that's so many points gone, and it's going to be overtime for UConn to try and get this win.
That's 3 members down on the side of Goomies here. It's just going to be Curious left on that pencil to take that pick for themselves there. 30 seconds left to go, though. They cannot afford to lose that zone there. They're going to have to deal with it, and with 1 second left, they did actually cap that back. That is going to be the game for Goomies.
And you could see the Neo Splash on the side of UConn was trying desperately to get the paint up, to get their specials. But I think it was just 1 or 2 players on the side of UConn overextended, and Goomies, they're capitalizing on that every single day of the week. That pencil has been lights out on Curious. They've just been so consistent with getting coolers up, keeping the paint, and making sure that the team has a way to jump back in.
Yeah, a very good job there, staying alive, not playing too risky there, just getting those little forehead shots just when it's relevant to do so. And that honestly was huge because it created such an opening for the remaining aggressive members of Goomies to come out and run into zone without, worrying about man advantage and dropping into a situation that they're not fully able to assess without getting hands on, right?
Right.
So honestly, optimal pencil gameplay.
Oh goodness, I don't think that there is. I also think pencil is stronger on zones, but I feel like there's still an argument to be made about edit versus pencil, right? Like I feel like that people think that conversation is open and shut, but I'm just not convinced yet. Because we've seen so many edits do well even on zones. We've seen edits do well even on clams and things of situations where there are aggressive comps, right? And so it really is just a matter of, okay, how do we want to attack things? And what backline do we use, right? But it's also hard to find backliners who can do both.
Yeah, exactly. And that versatility is so important nowadays, especially when you're running into mode where mobility is important, which without a doubt we'll probably be seeing in game 2 here with the counter picks. Definitely going to want to go into something where, again, I'm waiting for a team playing against Goomies to pick a flat map if possible.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever let me look at these maps. I need to find these maps and take a look and say what is the flattest here that they could go into. All right, I have it pulled up. Here's that map pool. What is the flattest? We have Scorch Gorge. We have Haggle. Haggle's pretty flat, honestly.
Yeah.
Undertow, not very flat. Inkblot, it's the fighting areas are not flat.
Right. I really do feel like Mahi was a pretty flat map. Like that would have been a pretty good one. I mean,
No.
yes and no.
All right, well, the flatness ain't happening yet for me. I'll flat another day, I suppose, because we have Scorch Gorge.
We do have Scorch Gorge, which is definitely not flat, which is like it's just another map that sloshers can get such really annoying angles, right? Just super hard to displace them, and especially if they are being vampires, if they are being the roaches in the walls, then they're not going to be able to get shut down very easily, if at all.
Yeah, definitely just hugging walls, chucking bombs over them. Like it is rough here, but I can sort of see the vision because you have at least like these angles. So if they're hugging your left side, you can kind of peek out the right and deal with it. But that's also the flaw at the same time because Goomies has two sloshers, so you can just prop one up on either side. Look, I'm telling y'all, if anyone's stream peeking or listening in, like if you're fighting Goomies, go flat. Go as flat
Just
as
go
you
as flat as you
possibly
can.
can.
But we'll see if this one works out. We'll see if they've got some kind of situation up their sleeve that they could try and collapse on. But we're going to see the same compositions once again, and we're going to see UConn try and win on this counter pick. We do not see anything too crazy from these rollouts. They're just going to be trying to go for this pop. I feel like UConn is going to get this pop, and they're going to be able to try and make something happen with that advantage, but unless this decap gets a fantastic bubble, I don't think so.
Yeah, bubble maybe not the special you want to be aiming for with Rainmaker pop, because ultimately, like, you want that window to open up first before you pop it. You want something that you want to be able to use right away, like that cooler, even the crab tank, which, I mean, thankfully, Josephosaur does not need any help with that Rainmaker to actually charge up that crab. But with that being said, it looks like things did not go north, they did go south, and that is going to be a very quick push for the members of Goomies onto the base of UConn.
Oh, and they're already popping through, trying to get this last pick. We do see Josephosaur able to get a very cheeky pick, and that's going to lead to a multiple down situation on the side of Goomies. A crab tank able to clean up the last one. I actually do like that, right? Just try and keep them staggered. Try and open up as many avenues as possible for your decavitator to get in and start causing even more chaos, even more havoc. They're going to be able to quickly pop this thing, and if Alex is able to get this kill on the burger, and she is going to be able to go all the way through. They're probably going to get the lead, and maybe even a little bit more for their troubles. A beautiful bubble is able to get them all the way down to 24, and that is the kind of plays that we need to be seeing out of UConn, that perfect coordination.
Yes, I love Alex's positioning there, just sitting there by that pole, had that bubble out, was ready to rain some damage, not necessarily maybe that pop for themselves. They can't really outpaint 4 people even with that decap, but was able to use it to stall as long as they could, be a nuisance, prevent the members of Goomies just rushing mid. But speaking of rushing mid, that cooler is going to get popped. That means people are going to run for it as fast as they can. Bubble trying to find angles, but knows that they have to cross a bridge before they can hug another wall, so that's going to hold them back a little bit longer.
Hold them back, although able to find a trade there, Spurger. The crab goes down to Josephosaur's crab, and that's going to be a great opening once again on the side of UConn, and all of a sudden, a map mode pick that both of us thought wasn't going to be super advantageous for them turns out to be well within their wheelhouse. And I think that it really is just a matter of catching the members of Goomies off guard with these very precise set plays.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's like wide enough hallways to where they can keep them in check. Not a lot of places to hide when you're fighting in mid, at least not once you get away from that center pole, which it looks like members of UConn have been avoiding as much as possible, trying to lure the members of Goomies into their base where they have that control, those specials, forcing them to jump out. That's just going to be bubble jumping in, but as I say that, I believe multiple people actually saw that jump, like the little circle there, so did not end very favorably for them.
No, and once again, on the offensive is UConn, and they're in the driver's seat for this entire match. And Goomies is going to have to, like you said, stop fighting where UConn is luring them, right? Strike out this decapitator to put them in a more precarious situation, right? Start doubling on him, right? Perfect play there. And all of a sudden, they're trying to start swing this into their favor. They're trying to start moving forward as a unit, and I think that that's the way that they're going to be able to start making this work.
Yeah, this is where they're starting to get that ball rolling for them. But, you know, with 1 minute left where UConn can afford to start making plays that favor them, and in just the sense of defense, they don't really need to worry about recapturing mid. Like, all right, you can have your mid, you can have it. Sometimes even repainting it isn't the correct decision, because that gives your opponents this ability to paint over it, get these specials, and build tools to take you down in your own base. But I think their choice here to stand back, pop crab tank at their own leisure, 30 seconds left to go, this is the play.
This is very much the play, and they are doing a great job at it. Even if one goes down, right? They've got this pretty solid positional hold here. Although finally it seems like Burger went over the grates and is going to be trying to take that position down, and is able to. Trying to get this decap outside of the bubble. Goes down, but that's going to be 3 down on the side of UConn Siberian Squids. Bubble able to move in. There's so much paint, but that Rainmaker is all the way back there. Is it going to give the members of UConn enough time to respawn? And it looks like it will. Oh my goodness, a great drop down flank from the Splash-O-Matic Joseph Essor, and that is going to be UConn on the board.
Can I just say, never has protect the president mattered more in a push, right? Like, you gotta have somebody watching that backside. Even if you're looking forward ahead and you're like, oh, I can see everyone there, like, somebody is going to sneak around. They got that angle from behind them there, and that was just enough to get them in the last few seconds of that game.
Right, a little bit too spread out, a little bit too much forward momentum from the front lines, and because of that, we're not able to put that protective bubble around the Rainmaker. That's so soul crushing if you're Goomies, right? Because that was your game. You had that in the bag, but getting stuck. UConn played that entire game so well, so well, and like you said, knew exactly what they were doing, just bleeding clock time. You putting on that pressure, making Goomies make a play, and caught them as they were slipping.
Yeah, definitely tossing the ball to them and then having 4 people stand in front of the net going, all right, now thread that needle. Deal with it.
Goodness. Well, that puts Goomies on their first counter pick that we're going to be seeing them. And probably going to go for Clams? I would think Clams is actually going to be their favorite here.
I think if you're continuing to double down on the double slosher thing, it can be a little rough on the tower pull sometimes. Sometimes the strikes are good if you're trying to like cheese things actually. So
yeah,
if you can get set up, it's pretty good to like, all right, we can just win the game by just throwing strikes at the tower and there's nothing you can do about it. There's literally nothing in the game that can do anything about it. This is why we need Baller back. Welcome to my TED Talk. I'm kidding. They would not balance that very well. It would be like triple Baller. 3 of them.
You start holding ZR and all of a sudden like 2 more just like morph out of you and just pop on the ground. That'd be crazy.
It'd be like that thing from Mario, like the cherries.
Yeah.
That would be kind of sick, actually. You know what? I take it back. Bring back Baller and let us duplicate ourselves. Make clones.
We are going to be seeing Museum Clams next. And this is actually a perfect map mode for that double slosher composition, right? Playing around the midpoint, sloshing up over the ledges on plat, and then striking behind the spinner. I mean, talk about a more perfect situation. We are going to be seeing a switch up from the side of UConn. Instead of that decapitator, going to be seeing the slosher from Alex.
Yeah, for sure. That slosher coming out from Alex. Okay. You know what? I respect it. I respect the hustle. I respect the choice. Switching off of decav onto this map, why not fight fire with fire? Let's go for it.
I think it makes sense because Bubble is not going to be like super good here for setting up those pushes as much as strikes will be, but also having a bit more of like that long range midline presence is still important. So I think that I can see the justification here, especially, you know, because you're just going to be finally equaling out one of those matchups, right? I know that decav is pretty strong here, if I'm not mistaken.
I think also a part of it is knowing that these people are going to hug ledges, so you want another tool that can get around walls for yourself.
Yeah.
And I just don't think they have that. So if Alex is that guy on the team who's like, I'm the one who knows how to play Slosher, I can play a weapon that has like an AoE around a wall, that's what I would probably switch to. Because this play style with Goomies is very problematic if you don't have anything to deal with it.
Right. Now, like we talked about earlier with Museum Clams, it is just a slugfest trying to get all the way up onto the enemy plat, try and make your move to make a push even start to happen. And we're seeing that here. A minute and a half has gone by and there's been pretty much a stalemate in mid.
Yeah, that's more or less what I expect to see in this map mode, is a lot of stalemates and then maybe 2 pushes like we saw before when we saw this map mode earlier in the tournament. We do have that cooler getting popped onto the side of Goomies there. Not quite the same response from UConn, but it looks like we're popping strikes, trying to stall things out a little bit. That crab tank is going to come out as well. All right.
I see the vision there. Joseph Fesser wanted to crab specifically to shut down that pencil, or at least move it back while the other folks went into mid. Yeah, you see, Joseph Fesser's job is basically going to be to trying to take down that pencil to allow a little bit more fighting to happen in mid. I really like that strategy, right? Like that's kind of how you have to try and tackle things. But speaking of tackling things, that football is going to get completely tossed into the end zone. Oh, miss clam from Curious. That could be very big, considering that was like a no penalty power clam that could have been dunked. That's actually a really big deal on a map mode like this.
That was a roller coaster of emotions that I just felt there. The missing of the basket into, oh, was it really a miss? How did that slosher get there? And then the slosher going down as well. I don't know what was happening there, but like, you know what? Someone send me this replay code. I gotta find out. Anyway, Josephosaur here once again, like you said before, just dealing with that pencil, tossing that crab tank, and you can see so much orange control going into the base of Goomies here. They do have all this clam control, but these strikes are going to put a huge wedge in those plans. You have that slosher from Bubble set up here. But looks like UConn is not backing down at all. Losing people, but not losing passion.
Losing people but not losing passion is exactly how I would have said that as well. They've got this fire in them. They're trying to in the last minute of this match create a push that puts them in the driver's seat and turns around this counter pick. Alex has the trip strikes here, and this is probably as good an opportunity as any. Kilobytes puts down that cooler, and they've got the jumps back in. They've got Joseph Esser trying to sneak their way in, not able to find it, gets bopped by the pillow. They are able to at least get one clam from the top ropes, but Ramboki's got to find something here and is not able to get anything. This is a losing situation for UConn to have that many players go down in that situation in that final throw, because now they need to try and get a power clam back up and get another push rolling.
Yeah, another push rolling they will absolutely need. I love the offensive clam toss onto your opponent's head. I've done that before. It's very funny because it paints their feet and gets them into bad situations like the one we're seeing here. A Bubble once again forced to run back a little bit. 10 seconds left to go. This is likely going to be an overtime push, but any power clam is going to seal the deal at this point in time. That's a huge pick onto Bubble. That is a giant issue to deal with. That crab tank is getting popped, albeit maybe a little bit early unless we can get a bunch of picks here. Josephosaur under that basket is going to toss out some burst bombs. There's going to be a jump in here, but that clam is going to go down. It's just going to be the one. Wait, what?
Are you kidding? This map mode is too crazy. This map was too crazy, man. That was insane. Joseph Esser finding the way in, the jump from Kilobyte, or I think it was Kilo, and then having the members of Goomies put everything down and time their sloshes and everything just right to prevent the jump from getting anything out, right? They died right there, but then Alex sneaking in, using the speed up from that cooler, and throwing the clam in at the last possible moment before death.
I had thoughts, but you know what? Actually, no, I just remembered. I feel like having this map mode and like having every single like division play this is like the equivalent of handing a toddler a knife. Like that's what I feel like we're looking at is like it's so difficult for them to handle, but yet it is so dangerous.
But like the entire sequence there at the end from UConn was exactly what they needed, right? They popped the cooler at just the right time. I was like, why aren't they popping that cooler sooner to try and make something happen? But that cooler being popped at 5 seconds rather than at 15 meant that Alex had the speed up, and that probably was the difference in being able to swim up that quickly, right? Mm-hmm. Just little things like that, right? The perfect trip strike placement to throw the crab down, right? The perfect way that they were able to move forward.
Haters will say it's lag. Fight me on land moment. Anyway,
on land.
I didn't see any lag. I'm just joking. Anyway, but Spec Cam is different. You know what? We'll let the jury decide.
So that was Goomies' map pick.
Yes.
And we're going to have to see what is going to happen. I believe there's they're gonna go to TC ship shape. I mean, I
okay.
I guess
this is one of the ledge maps of all time. I can't be that surprised. Like, think about that right ledge and the left ledge and the one in mid and the one that's not in mid. And then there's like 4 boxes and yeah, no. It's a ledge map.
I get, yeah, this is really going to be their because again, the trip strikes being able to clear out top left and then top right pretty easily, right, to prevent like those really important defensive positions. This makes a lot of sense.
But I think to some degree as well, UConn has kind of cracked the code on Goomies a bit. They've, with counter picks, they're only going to have control maybe half the time of what maps they're playing on. So you can pick flat all you want, but you still need something to deal with them. And that's what they pulled out on that last map mode. They had that slosher. So they were able to, all right, you're shooting at me below a ledge. I'll just shoot you back from above it. So I want to see how that plays out here, though.
I'm curious too. I wonder if they're gonna try and figure out something different, right? Not a decab, not a slosher, but maybe switching off one of the splashes to something like a dually or to something like a T-Tech, right? That has a bit more offensive pressure, right? To try and shut those sloshers down, give a little bit more fighting potential. I don't know. Like, in my mind, I'm thinking like, all right, this is when Alex just pulls out a blaster, like a Luna or something, and goes crazy. That's what I see going happen.
I could see that, but I feel like it's a risky play so far in.
Yeah. No, 100%. But I also feel like that's why it would be the perfect time to make it happen, right? They're up 2-1. They've still got a counter pick to go. Now's the time to really try and land a finishing blow while they're off kilter.
All right, well, let's
stick with slosher.
Yeah, okay. They do have slosher, 2 painters for it. Hey, I like it.
I like it too.
Still don't know how I feel about that thermal edit, but I'll let it slide.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if they win the set, then that's what matters, right?
Yeah. A win is a win.
A win is a win, but unfortunately, going down is not a win for Kilobytes. They're going to be 2 down on either side for right now. A couple of nice, quick skirmishes from both sides, but Joseph Ezor is not getting the best of Rare's crab this time around. It's looking like it's going to be a set up for Goomies up on this high ground and near this first checkpoint.
Yeah, a very early fight win is going to equate to getting to ride that tower very early on. You just see Rare make a bad dash for as much paint as they can possibly foster. Though, backing up into an Ink Strike, that could end things for them. Unfortunately, though, it looks like UConn, a couple members have gone down here. This snowball has started to get a little bit concerningly large.
They do have the trip strikes ready to go up on top right. They are going to get pushed back. I think a couple of picks came through Alex and Ray Ramboki. I can't read it from here. I'm sorry. We're able to move forward in unison and try and shut that down. And it looks like they're trying to swing things back into their favor.
Yeah, for sure. They do get the pick on one of these sloshers there. It seems like Bubble did get behind them, but that's going to be 1-2 in succession. Just going to be that crab tank left to deal with that tower. But ideally, if somebody can get behind it there, at the very least distracted and put a hit me sign on their own back, they might be able to stall out that tower long enough to clear that first checkpoint, which can be the most vulnerable.
Curious, though. Doing such a good job defending that tower from that range. Pencil is the longest range weapon on the map right now and can use that to their very much advantage as they're doing so right here. Rare and Burger up on this top left trying to once again keep things at bay and is going to be able to at least 2 down on the side of UConn, but they're going to get traded out. Rare was not able to stay alive, and I really feel like that's the thing that is going to be making the difference here, right? Is that I think Goomies need to start playing for their lives and to start slowing down just a little bit, because UConn is trading them out consistently at this point, and they're not going to be able to win just by clearing them.
Yeah, clearing them alone will not seal the deal here. They're gonna have to make a lot more space. You can see these bombs coming out ahead. Josephasaur successfully clearing out that top right, which is of course the first obstacle you think of here. It's just gonna be Bubble left remaining, but running into a bomb. This is for sure going to be the lead for UConn. You can see how much coverage they're trying to get here, trying to scout out these areas where the members of Goomies are coming back in from. You see Burger here forced to move on to that right side, not quite dealing with Kilobyte. We are almost getting down to the single digits in the push.
Somebody look at tower!
What?
No, they slipped in! Nobody was looking at tower! There was such a good offensive position there from the members of UConn. They were drawing all of the attention away from the tower. It was a checkmate scenario, right? Either they shoot at the person that's shooting them or they shoot at the tower and then they get shot in the back. It's such a good offensive push, such a good turnaround from UConn to get that tower just slid right in there.
Yeah, you can tell how well that strategy worked, because even I lost sight of the tower there. I was like, oh yeah, they're just pushing here. They'll get it in a few, but no, they were getting it now.
I really thought it was going to be... I knew there was a chance that it was going to end the game right there, but I did not think it would turn out quite like that. Wow. UConn showing that they are the top dog in Division 3 for right now, and they're going to be going to Grand Finals, sitting pretty for probably an hour-ish.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, probably feeling pretty confident with themselves, able to take back a situation that wasn't looking too good for them at the beginning of the set there, and even win on their opponent's counter picks. It really felt like they were able to adjust for what they were dealing with there, cracked that code, and that's actually what just got them the set there, switching to that slosher and saying, all right, you want to play this game? I'll play it too. I'll play it too.
Oh, and they did play that game. They played it beautifully. I really think that Goomies has players that can pop off better, but I think UConn as a team knew how to play together more cohesively that's what really won them those games, those situations. Because, you know, like, compare it to the Goomies versus Turnpike match, right? There was just not enough pushback when Goomies started getting their snowball rolling, but the team play and the understanding from UConn to know how to shut that down, or to get those clutch moments, that's the difference maker.
Yeah, for sure. You can go over the same comps a million times, but you never know who to spawn in across from you in any given game. So that was the main differentiating factor there, in that set, which is obviously what's gonna bring UConn farther in their competitive journey, I would say. So anyway, I believe we have our commentary switch in a moment here. Anything that you would like to plug or share, Magic, with the audience?
Well, I'm just going to say, make sure to stay tuned. There's going to be a little bit of an announcement coming up on the streams shortly. As is what I'm hearing, is what I was just told that I was allowed to hint at, so I'm hinting at it. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Otherwise, I'm posting on Blue Sky still, but that's about it. Otherwise, anything from you?
You know what? I'm about in the same way, but I will gladly plug get on my level next year in
Yeah.
Toronto. That's the event that I get to run. If you're a college team, let me know that you're going. I would love to like try and set something up for you guys. I'll do a little something something. And perhaps we can figure that out with the event as well. But yeah, you can find me at my socials at Cyren Banshee, as you can see right below the picture of my face that has been awkwardly wiggling and lighting up this whole time. So I'm also on Sky mostly nowadays.
And with that, I think that's going to do it. We're going to be handing off to Falco and Rose to finish up Division 3. Thank you so much for everyone who tuned in, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
See ya.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CCA Fall 2024 Division 3 Finals Day 2. My name is Falco Flyer. I am joined here with Rose to finish out the tournament. Rose, how are you doing on this Sunday?
I'm doing really well. I got to commentate some really exciting, like, reverse sweeps yesterday, so I'm really excited to see what happens today in day 2.
Yeah, we have two, potentially three more matches, sets that will be headed your way. Our first one is going to be Goonies versus Fish, 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 Fish. Four fishes at that. And we saw Goonies earlier. They lost 3-1 against UConn and Fish, 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 Fish. We might just call them Fish. But they've had quite the run in losers bracket. Taking a look at this, they barely even made it into losers bracket, going to a game 5 in their first round against Turnpike, but then sweeping the competition all the way upwards, facing Table Terp Troop, HLG Gold, and Turnpike. So Turnpike is the team who actually put them into losers bracket. So they are riding a high right now, ready for some revenge to put themselves back in this the grand finals, Rose.
Yeah, they sure did get that revenge, and I bet that 3-2 was really, really close. It is, like, amazing how PSU's Fish team has not dropped a game since being knocked into the losers bracket, and now they're gonna be clawing their way back into for their grand finals match to try to take on UConn, who we just saw. But we also know that Goomies, who just lost to UConn, wants to get back in and get their own revenge. So both of these teams really want to make it into grand finals.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to see here. And of course, you guys all know we have 4 broadcasts going on at the same time. You're watching the Division 3 finals, but make sure you have all those windows open to CCA underscore Splatoon, Splatoon Tourney, and then over on the CCA YouTube page to catch all of the action. Once again, we're going to always boast the CCA crew for the great production that they put on because it's always fantastic. And especially with all the stats and everything that they give us. So it makes our job easy, Rose. Makes our job
It's
so
so
easy.
nice. I like literally have like the stats page up next to me that I keep glancing at. It's
Mhm.
like the tools that they have given us is absolutely amazing. So example, like we're looking at Goomies and the PSU team Fish, who we're just gonna call them Fish for now. I know Cater, who I was commentating with last night, was telling me that for PSU, just I think for each circuit, like each season or each year, they just add another fish to their name. Just why there are 4 fishes now in their name. But, for example, like, we know I mean, we've already seen Goomies on stream. I believe the PSU team was on stream yesterday from what I remember. They're both playing really, really well. Goomies has been dominating this circuit season. Like, they have a 90% win rate on Rainmaker.
Yeah, that is really impressive. And Goomies, they went 3-1 yesterday to get themselves into day 2. And then PSU Fish, they barely got by winning that 5th set. Of course, you needed to win 3 sets to get into the day 2s. So they went 3-2, so barely squeaking in as a 7th seed. But like we mentioned, they've been having kind of the miracle run that you need to have if you get knocked out or knocked down into the losers bracket pretty early. So they are ready to go. And again, of course, Virginia Commonwealth University, I feel like they're one of those schools that always have multiple CCA teams, and honestly, Penn State as well. So it's so cool to see a lot of these schools be represented by more than one team, especially across these different divisions. We know that they're going to be rooting their friends on for the other divisions, and likewise, as far as rooting, for their opponent or for their teammates in divisions lower than them too. But I was also poking my head around some of the other streams that were going on, and what I found that was really awesome were players who play in comp but don't play a part of a CCA team are rooting for their comp teammates who are in CCA. So I think it was This Is Fine, for instance. I saw Kale and Jam rooting for their teammate over on Splatoon Tourney, which is really fun. They were playing for a Div 2 team. And it's just the camaraderie that we get to see between all of these players throughout the entire Splatoon organization and within and outside of the CCA has been really incredible.
Yeah, absolutely, because I know Falco and I are on the old side as
Yes,
far as
way past
Splatoon.
college.
Like, Collegiate Splatoon was not a thing for us.
Mm-mm.
Like, Splatoon was not even out at all when I was in college. So it's just been so exciting to see this scene grow so much. And like obviously you make a lot of friends. Just I've made great friends just on my own team, and I can just imagine how exciting it is to meet up with people in person in college who play this video game with you.
Yeah, it is. It is always exciting and always a lot of fun. And again, we love the camaraderie. We love everything they bring to the table. But let's see what they're bringing to the table here as we hop into our first game of the losers finals. Again, PSU versus Goomies. And we're going to be taking a look at some of these comps. And, of course, I love to see a tri-stringer come out, not a weapon that we see all the time come out here in competitive. And then, of course, I'd say Goomies running that more traditional comp, but look at that, a double tri-slosher coming out, Rose.
Yeah, I was watching their previous set when Magic and Cyren were just on, and their double sloshers were working so well together that AoE, like even if you have both sloshers attacking the same enemy, you both get a single hit in, that is it. But we do have that Reef Slider coming in from that Vunder, taking down one on the side of Goomies. We see Arcton really trying to make sure that their teammate gets back in from the end of their Inkjet, and Fish has been just doing a really good job of holding onto the zone right now, but it is going to keep getting contested. And we do have a cooler online on the side of Goomies, but 2 going down. So it looks like Fish has a little bit of time to really just keep sustaining here.
Yeah, Fish is doing a really good job handling this lockout. Again, they're not letting Goonies anywhere near the zone, but we're going to see Reef Slider come in and take them down. Yes, that is going to happen. 2 players still going to be down on Goomies, but Fish still in control. 2 specials at the ready. I believe there's going to be 2 strikes that could be coming out, and yes, they are attacking the zone. Will it be enough for it to cap the zone? Not quite yet, which is pretty rare to find. So all the credit to Fish for stopping those double, triple tri-strikes from happening, but 2 players down now on Fish. This will be Goomies one last time to try and cap, and it looks like the Crab's going to be coming out to try and do it, but no, it's not going to be enough here, Rose. Fish,
oh my God.
Fish wins in that one push KO.
My heart just like went up and down and up and down and up and down watching just the little graphic for that zone going, blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange. I was just like, oh my gosh, is it gonna flip? Is it not gonna flip? Oh my gosh, what a quick game from PSU. I want to shout out Arcton's 2 Reef Sliders that we got to see, because for anybody who doesn't know, I was a one-trick Tetris for like 2-ish years, and now I've more recently picked up Dreadringer, so I'm very familiar with Reef Slider. And just watching like the Reef Slider not do what we expect for zones, especially haggle zones, to Reef Slide cheese, but to go in, just see that crab tank and be like, I'm going straight for you. Just absolutely amazing.
Sorry, I was muted. That was we've been in those situations before, and like you mentioned, especially with all the specials coming out, because that's kind of the do or die moment where you have to throw all of your specials onto the zone to make sure you get the cap. And if you can't, then obviously you're not going to be winning the game or take control of the zone. But really, you have no time to lose in that moment. And especially for PSU Fish, where they just kind of capped and then locked out, but you kind of panic in those last few moments where Goomies were really trying to break back in, and I thought they were. Again, we saw the double, triple tri-strike come out, and it did paint some of the zone, but more credit to PSU Fish for being able to cap and just repaint whatever the tri-strike touches. They knew their assignment. They knew, okay, strikes are coming here. We have to immediately just paint over where the strikes are coming.
Yeah, and we see triple ink strikes in zones and several other modes. It's a pretty flexible special, but especially just for painting zones. But if those strikes don't get timed and placed absolutely perfectly to all hit at the same time, you can paint over this. And Goomies has done a very good job of capping zones. They did a great job just, a little bit earlier today, I think even on haggle zones, with both of their triple ink strikes coming out at the same time. But credit to PSU's team, because they said, no, we know exactly where we're going to throw them, and we're going to be painting over them to just barely hang on to this.
Yeah, and it looks like we will be going on to Mommy Zones next, so that will be the counter pick for Goomies to try and get their revenge here on Zones. pretty interesting that you kind of get locked out in a 100-0 KO and you're counter picking zones. But hey, sometimes the first game, it moves a little too fast for you to take a lot into consideration of what you need to change. So it's kind of like a GG go next. We think we can run this back.
Yeah, and absolutely. And we were seeing in previous sets from Goomies those double sloshers in their comp. They work really, really well with like taking certain angles, and Haggle is a much more open map. Umami, has open spots, but you can do some silly things with sloshers, attacking the dome, flinging ink up, really, attacking that middle spine area between the two zones. So I can see why Goomies picked this. I see the vision.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's if you know, and two, there are just some maps that work better for you, no matter what the mode is, too. So, Umami, having a benefit of a split zone opposed to Hagglefish, that is one solid zone that is a little more narrow towards the mid part. So there's always things you can change and adapt, and based on their play styles, it could easily, like you said, it could make a difference on how they want to change this approach. And I will be curious to see if we see any weapon changes too, because having the double slosher come out, I feel like would benefit them more on Umami zones, kind of having those ledges that are right in front of the zone that you can kind of just stand on in mid. But we will see if we see those double sloshers come out once again. We're going to be seeing the big swig come out on the side of PSU Fish, and again the sloshers are sticking on the side of Goomies.
Yeah, really interesting to see the Big Swig come out. But, it does have rain. That's going to help with some paint. Big Swig can put out some pretty decent paint. We don't see it very often because it's not necessarily a strong fighter. But this is zone, so who knows?
Yeah, that's right. And right now, it's still in PSU Fish's favor as they do get that 2-player lead and control the zone. So they're picking up right where they left off after that first game. But right now, Gumi is really trying to find their way to break back in. We can see Curious here trying to identify some of the players with the pencil. Rare coming into with the splash. Some of the tri-strikes coming out now from Burger as well. But look at this, the Octobrush coming up from PSU Fish, trying to take him down. But no, Bubbles is going to help support them. And this will be Gumi's first cap that they are able to take on PSU Fish. So right now, this will be our first opportunity to see them in an offensive position.
Yeah, and I've definitely noticed watching Goomies, when they get into just a rhythm of offense, they hold it really, really well. These two sloshers playing together, we saw both of them taking targets together. And if they're able to keep this up, I don't think it's going to be too difficult for them to flip the lead right here in just a second. They do indeed get it. We already have double, triple ink strikes coming out. We're going to see a lot of strikes in this game because we do also have the strikes over on the side of Fish.
Yeah, we do see the strikes from them as well. And this is Gumi's first opportunity to really take the lead, where, again, we haven't seen them in this position during this set quite yet, or really have the objective at all. So we're kind of getting that first glimpse of how they're handling it. And so far, they're doing a really good job now, timing some of those tri-strikes to lock out members of PSU Fish, and really are doing such a good job not letting any PSU Fish members close. We see the Octobrush kind of come in. The rain is going to be deployed, but it's going to be too little too late. So Goomies, you would not have suspected that they would have dominated this game based on how they played in Game 1, Rose.
Yeah, they really just said, okay, we'll do the same thing. We will grab the zone and we'll just keep holding on to it like you did last game. So we are tied up on both zones games, and we do have counter picks here. So now that both teams have won zones, we're done with zones.
Done with zones. Zones no more. They got it out of the way. Zones is always, it typically is one of the more popular map mode combos to pick anyways. So, I'm glad we'll see something else. But a quick comment about Goomies too. Their only loss yesterday was to a team that didn't even make it into day 2. So, it's they've did really well in day 1 versus the teams that are here today. And like we have seen, originally beating Table Troop, then Turnpike, and now kind of getting their match against PSU Fish. This is it's hard to even call it even. It's even on paper because the score is 1-1, but just both of the matches were so different from each other based on some of the lockouts too. So again, it's kind of a clean slate at this point. You get your zones games out of the way. Now we're in a best of 3 situation for our losers finals, only having tower control, Rainmaker, Clams, and I think it's a coin flip, Rose. These two teams seem really, really competitive with each other.
They do. They both seem like they're playing very, very well. Goomies plays very, very aggressively, but I think PSU Fish also knows how to gauge the flow of the game. You know, when do we want to speed up and when do we want to slow down? And I think now they just need to figure out, you know, well, what can we do to, you know, try to keep their sloshers in check? What kind of maps can we pick that are going to give us more of an advantage than it will give them? And also, what can we do to prolong and sustain against Goomies? Because they definitely like to play aggressively.
Yeah, they do. And again, like you mentioned about the tri-strikes, where I think tower control is going to be your next best mode on how you want to control some of the specials and clear some of the objectives. You know, zones, obviously using tri-strikes paint the zones really well, especially if you have 2 tri-strike users. And I could see, you know, I could see PSU Fish trying to opt for a tower control counter pick if they want to try and have some triple tri-strikes of their own. But Goomies, I think, you know, if they get an opportunity to counterpick as well, they would probably want to opt for it. But we do know the next map and mode, it is going to be Clam Blitz on Humpback Pump Track. So this is a, you know, a lovely throwback to Splatoon 2. Can't say it's my favorite map mode combo, but hey, it's in the game. And man, this one, if you are not watching your flanks, you've got a long way back to your spawn if you're going to be jumping back or taking around going around the bends, Rose.
Yeah, I do find it interesting that PSU picked Humpback because I actually think this is an amazing slosher map, and I would be very scared to play against Goomies on this map, but maybe they have something, you know, hidden in their sleeve that they're going to pull out for this. Certainly, you know, Clam Blitz sometimes does, you know, lend itself to having to play a little bit slower at times. There are times where it's just going to be neutral for a long time, and you have to know when can you very quickly slam on the accelerator and go blitzing for the clams and make sure that you get a huge push in. So maybe PSU is counting on just their ability to gauge when to go in and when to hold back.
Yeah, I think that's crucial. And like you mentioned, this I think on paper is a very good tri-slosher or slosh. I keep saying tri-slosher, slosher map. But look at this. We see 2 brushes come out from the side of PSU Fish. Arcan is going to be bringing out the ink brush, probably you know, channeling in their inner collegiate teammate Kraken Mare on Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, who's an amazing ink brush player, which by the way won SAC yesterday. Congrats to them. But back to this game here, 2 players going to quickly go down on Goomies, where PSU Fish really trying to take control of mid, as Curious is trying to lock out some of the members on the left bend elbow right here, but Clue is able to spot them with the Octo Brush. So right now we really just have this neutral game, but PSU Fish seems to have the upper edge handling mid.
They do, and I noticed the ink brush over on PSU did have a lot of claims for quite a while. They have dropped them now, but definitely the ink brush can move so fast, and they are so annoying to fight in Clam Blitz when they are just zipping past you with so much speed. And Fish has been doing a really good job with these double brushes of actually going in and just taking Goomies off guard.
Yeah, and I mean, this is definitely the mode for ink brushes. It's, you know, anytime, if you've played Splatoon in solo queue, you kind of know, okay, I'm going to watch for the ink brush. And obviously, when you're playing with some of your teammates or against a player who has an ink brush, that's going to be the person you are looking out for the most. And look at this, clams on both sides, but no power clams formed quite yet. It looks like Goomies still has the upper edge here, controlling a little bit more of mid as 2 players going to go down. We do see the killer whale come out from the side of PSU Fish, and a power claim finally ready for the side of Goomies. But again, they don't have much real estate in mid. They're going to have to try and clear some of this area, but they don't have any specials ready. Now we see Bubble with the Trizuka trying to wait to figure out where they want to use this, but they're kind of alone right now, not necessarily with their teammates. So Goomies being a little scattered right now, Rose, I don't think that's really going to be helping them.
Yeah, you know, we keep seeing what looks like the tide shifting in one team's favor, and then all of a sudden it looks like it goes back to neutral. So we're just under 2 minutes into the game, and nobody has scored any points yet.
Yeah, and sometimes Claim Blitz happens like that. You can get the early score or you can get the last minute score. And I always think it's more exciting when you're going to have the skirmish to mid, because the later you score, the more important that score will be. And that's kind of the situation we're in right now, with the game being about halfway done time-wise. And it's still Goomies who have the upper edge with 2 power claims. Bubble, this is what they needed to do, have somebody strike on the offensive side. That was a fantastic Trizuka position. Unfortunately, they couldn't get anybody, but fortunately for Goomies, they are able to score. Getting down to 48 is just going to be Bubble, who is alive, throwing in some claims, but they're going to have to back out right now. So a push that is definitely good for them, happening about 3 minutes into the game. As long as they can just control mid rows, I think they're going to be setting themselves in a pretty good position.
Yeah, getting down to 48 points now, it's not like the biggest push ever, but that is a really solid push. So, we're under 2 minutes to go, and Arcton just doing a really good job of sharking and going in and taking picks when needed. So really, the pressure's on Goomies to start taking more risky plays, and PSU can, not exactly sit back, but they know that they have, a little bit of wiggle room, that they don't have to overcommit themselves.
That's exactly right. And the benefit for PSU Fish with their comp in particular is that they have those 2 brushes to make those risky plays. You have those fast players who can really just kind of zoom by you and be a little bit more unpredictable. So I think that is going to benefit them. But on the downside, they don't have a lot of the paint that they necessarily need. They have the shot player. Tristringer can paint as well, but the brushes themselves probably are not going to be painting as much if they're going to be the ones who are relying on the flanks. But look at this, Arcane rushing in. Can they get there in time? Yes, they can. The strikes are going to come out. Bubble's going to be taking down Arcane for a trade. And it looks like that might just be the only push they have. I don't think anybody's going to get there in time from the side of PSU Fish. So a one and done, not necessarily what they need. Man, if they would have scored a little bit more, I think obviously that would have been better for them, but I think they put themselves in a little bit more of a worse position at this moment because right now they're getting some picks, so maybe I'll just, take back my words, Rose, but they might be able to, it looks like they're ready to score again.
Yeah, it looks like we do get the Bow player managing to get a clam in. They're down to 70 now, and we have 15 seconds left to go. They are going to have to get more in, but that Crab Tank's doing a really good job of defending. So they've only gotten 2 power clams in. And really, yeah, these small pushes are not doing them a whole lot of favors. And when Rare's coming in, throwing in that clam, just absolutely ending things. Goomy's taking this game.
Yeah, that was perfect timing for Goomies to try and really just seal the deal right then and there. And they did. And they didn't have a lot of map control to work with. We can take a look at mid right now as it slightly favors PSU Fish's favor. But Goomies, they just kind of knew, okay, as long as we hold mid or don't let the brush players cook. Don't let them do anything crazy. We're going to be able to seal the deal. And holding them to a one and done power claim and then really not much afterwards is obviously what helped them, but getting to that 48 about halfway through the game too, I think if they wouldn't have as good of a push as they did, I think we would have been going into overtime.
Absolutely. Yeah, sometimes all it comes down to in Clam Blitz is a single good push where you're able, you really only open the basket the one time, but you get a lot of clams in, and the rest of the game is just, trying to play defense, sustain, threaten pushes, but you don't have to super overcommit yourselves. And like you were saying with the lack of paint on the other side, definitely making a little bit harder to get in. So Goomies really could just sort of hold things there, and just a really well-timed just final clam throw in at the end to just make sure that Fish did not have another chance to try to prolong into overtime.
I know, and it was hey, that one I think was obviously the most even game that we have seen, so it was definitely entertaining for us. But now PSU Fish is in the position where they're going to be making a counter pick, and it's a do or die situation where they need to win this game if they want to move or try and move on to grand finals, going to a game 5. But first, it will be a game 4. Again, they cannot choose splat zones. They have already won on splat zones during game 1, so it's you know, and knowing the comp that Goomies had, I don't know if you necessarily want to risk that doing Clam Blitz again. I mean, PSU Fish, they had the players for it with the double slosher. You called it Rose. Double slosher is really hard to face on humpback pump tracks. So, you know, it's it's gonna be something where, you know, I'm not really sure what the counter pick will be, but if I would assume they want something a little bit slower pace like tower control. That way they can kind of focus a little bit more and kind of have a little bit more breathing room. But we will await to see what they pick.
Yeah, we are waiting on their counter pick coming in now. Yeah, you know, now that I've started playing some more of Dreadringer, still dualies at heart, but I've really been playing a lot of, you know, really my first actual real time on a bucket. I don't know, I've just really felt like a lot of maps in Splatoon 3 feel good on various buckets. So I've definitely, you know, been much more scared lately now that I have that better understanding of like, yeah, buckets have a nice time on a lot of maps in Splatoon 3, especially because like so many fights on maps happen around stacks and camping ledges. It is very hard, I think, fighting a double bucket comp where both players know how to handle a bucket.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's scary and it's kind of rare to, you know, fight a double bucket comp, but when you do, you know that they can do what they do well. So it's always scary. It's like anytime you see a player or a weapon that's a little more unconventional, you know that those players know how to cook with it. And so you're like, okay, we gotta, you know, I'm not used to fighting this. I'm not used to knowing where their positioning is going to be on this map and mode, but I just know that they're gonna do what they do well. So it's always scary, you know, but exciting for us, obviously, when you kind of don't see the bread and butter comps that we can kind of see fairly often. And we are still waiting on the counter pick from the side of PSU Fish. And I don't blame them for kind of taking their time,
Yeah.
especially in this moment where they know that they potentially well, they only have one more counter pick that they can make, because assuming they win, Goomies will be making the other counter pick. So uh it's it's a lot to think about, a lot to focus on, heroes.
Yeah, it is a stressful situation to be on the side of PSU Fish. I do not envy their position, but it does look like they have picked Rainmaker on Manta Maria.
Interesting. So we mentioned, you know, this map and mode has a lot of height elevations too, where I feel like buckets could thrive as well. You know, kind of taking control of like you know, pretty much a lot of the stacks and a lot of the higher ground here on this map. But I I don't know. This one is always hard. I find that the narrow map mode combos like this are a little more trickier, where you can really have players just have breakaway moments if you catch, if they're you know, if you they're not caught off guard, really, you know. So this could be a very quick snowball map that, you know, a team gets to 10 points remaining and then we have a battle for mid, or just a lot of back and forth. But from what I recall, this is typically a very exciting map mode combo, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this one. Uh, you know, maybe, you know, there are certain parts of Manta, at least in mid, if you're not, you know, exactly on the bunkers for both sides, but actually down below. Maybe they're hoping to draw the sloshers on Gumi, you know, away from their own favorable positions to go fight them where they would like, where it's a little bit more open. Hopefully that'll work in their favor. But yeah, like I was saying, a lot of these maps feel really good when you're a bucket.
Right, and we are actually going to be playing on Robo Rom, and it still will be Rainmaker. We were misinformed, but that is okay. That is all good right now, because this one I think makes more sense if you are PSC Fish for a counter pick. That way you don't have to suffer from those double sloshers. So I do like this pick better, and we are going to be seeing the Brella come out for the first time on PSU Fish. That's going to be in place of the Ink Brush that was there during the last game. And again, Gumi's kind of coming out with that same comp they had, but this time still sticking with that Neo machine rather than the double slosher, double tri-strike combo.
If I'm not mistaken, I think we saw Arcton play Vunder in the very first game.
Yes,
we had those Reef Sliders, so I'm excited to see them again. It does look like we're just having a fight in mid yet again. This Vunder trying to do the Reef Slider, doesn't get anything, is in a really tricky situation in this 1v2 and does get taken out.
Yeah, that was pretty crucial. You know, I feel like whenever some of those players, and especially in this map where I don't want to call much of the area useless, but like kind of down in here, it's just its own fight club where you're either going to be chased out or you're going to be chased. There's really not much that's going to be happening in favor of the objective when you drop down on those sides, and that's exactly what happened. Where the Rainmaker was popped, it was reset. a net nothing, except for PSV Fish touching it and getting it to 99. But, you know, sometimes that happens. But right now, PSV Fish still in a better position, 2-player advantage. Now they're down 1. If they can, if they need to pick up the Rainmaker right now, they need to take out Rare and pick that up. I think they could have gotten that first checkpoint potentially, I would say, a little bit sooner than they did if they were to capitalize on that. But hey, they didn't clear the checkpoint though, Rose. It is very, very close.
They didn't, and it looks like they're not going to be able to pop the Rainmaker shield either, so they may not be able to keep this push going. It looks like their push is now over, and even several people went down on the side of PSU, so they not being able to move that Rainmaker in as quickly as they did definitely hurt. The brush taking out multiple picks, like, definitely set that up really well, just wasn't able to follow through with the rest of the team.
Yeah, and that's pretty unfortunate when that happens. And look at this, Goomies able to pick up the Rainmaker, really going forward. Curious getting it down to 14. It is a 1v1. Rare is the only one alive, wisely backing up, providing safe jumps for their teammates, but still kind of keeping some of this aggression for their team. PSU Fish going to be picking it up, going to be taking it a little bit over towards their left side, going to be dropping it down to reset, but 2 of the players are going to go down. So really, this is just going to give Goomies another opportunity to pick up, but maybe at a slower, more strategical push that they can coordinate and work well with their teammates.
Yeah, advantage is still in Goomies' favor. This Burger's been able to get so many picks here, just holding the ground here. Bubble also managing to get some chip damage in, keep PSU from trickling in. PSU is going to have to really get their specials ready. But we do already have a Crab online for Goomies. They are ready to keep holding, and with, like, they got all the way down to 14, so they just have to hold here.
Yeah, and it's something that's much easier said than done with 2 minutes remaining, especially with Rainmaker. Now, the benefit is if you're PSU, or if you're Goomies, then, well, you have a major player advantage right now, but you also have your opponents who still need to get past their first checkpoint. So there's really stages in which you can defend, which is going to benefit them right here. But Goomies still just kind of taking control of mid for right now. The Cooler is going to be coming out. Clue's going to be taking down Rare. Can Clue get one more? They are going to be trading with Burger. That is a very good trade if you are PSU Fish. That's going to allow you to get that checkpoint. And with just about a minute left, you can work with this push, even though you don't have the player advantage. You can, if you just keep up some of the aggression, you know, provide the safe jumps for your teammates into mid, you can keep this offensive push going.
You can indeed. Fortunately, PSU was able to get that check, so if they're able to get a really good push, they could still get the lead. They have a minute. It's not out yet. We all know Rainmaker can be a very, very fast mode, so Goomies cannot rest easy just yet, even though they do have a pretty nice lead.
They do have a nice lead here, but yeah, look at this with 2 players down. I feel like PSU Fish, they are in control, but you have to watch out for Burger. Now, they have the Cooler. That is going to be kind of a mini point sensor that is targeted on them. It's no longer there anymore, but they're in this very crucial spot because as soon as one of the Rainmaker players turns around this corner, they are going to potentially be one-shotted by Burger. So they really have to be careful. Arcane coming in with the Reef Slider, clearing some space. Unfortunately, not going to get any splats. And here we see them trying to push in, but no, they are going to go down. 10 seconds left. I don't think it's going to be enough time for Clue to get the pop. They're going to be dropping down and getting splatted themselves. So Goomies winning this game, not allowing PSU Fish to progress past that first checkpoint. They are going to be moving on to Grand Finals.
Yeah, Goomies got that momentum and held it. They played really, really well. They said, you know, we'll let you take your counter picks and we will figure out how to win your counter pick maps anyway.
Yeah, they kind of knew the assignment. And like you said, as long as they can control for the last minute and a half, they can give up some space. They can give up a little bit of space, but it gets a little tricky once PSU Fish clears that checkpoint, because things can really spiral out of control. It's Rainmaker. As if there's a breakaway moment for the offensive team, they're going to be taking advantage of it. But luckily for Goomies, that was never really the case, and they were on top of the players from the side of PSU Fish whenever that they needed to take care of business. So a well-deserved win. I would say this is definitely a textbook win for Goomies. Probably the most textbook win out of any of the 3 games that they've won, and hopefully this will propel them pretty well and set them up to fight pretty well in grand finals.
Yeah, they will be fighting against UConn, who we saw has been playing very, very well. Not necessarily the easiest path for UConn. They were able to win their round 1 in winners bracket cleanly with a 3-0. They were put on the ropes in the round 2, winning 3-2. But now Goomies is going to be fighting against UConn, and UConn was the one who knocked them out, winning 3-1. So Goomies is going to be going back into the grand finals saying, all right, we run it back again.
It's going to be quite a match to see. But before that, we do have an announcement we would like to make and share with you guys. And it is an exciting one. If you love CCA, if you love merch, then this is for you because you asked for it. The CCA brought it back. The CCA merch shop is once again open for business. Browse both new and familiar sticker designs as well as a new CCA Circuit t-shirt. The shop is open until January 15th, so order today. The link, you can find that at cca-shop.fourthwall.com. That is in the Twitch chat. We will go ahead and pin that for you guys here so you guys can click that link, get your CCA merch because Rose, the CCA is amazing. They do so much cool stuff here for the Splatoon scene, and it's amazing to see how much it has grown.
Absolutely. And just look at the small fry on the crab tank.
I love
need
that. That is a cute sticker.
I need 5 of them.
That is adorable. I absolutely love it. But yeah, make sure you guys get your merch. And obviously, if you go to any of the lands that are coming up in 2025, rep your CCA gear, rep all the stickers, rep your shirts, and connect with other CCA members in person. It is a fantastic environment to be in. Rose and I have had the pleasure of going to a few lands ourselves, and we can guarantee that it is one of the best things about the Splatoon community. And when you can meet people who are in kind of a smaller community within your community, it is just such a cool environment to be in.
It really is. Just the Splatoon community at LANs, I think, is unparalleled. Not to toot our own horn, but we have frequently seen the Smash players who we'll share a room with come over because we are so loud and excitable and so positive that they're jealous.
Oh yeah, and we try to make them jealous too. And the thing is, it's all authentic cheering too. It's like really our own passion that is being shown. So it is such a cool time. But yeah, make sure you guys check out that shop. Once again, you can find that link in chat and as the pinned message here on stream to get your CCA merch. And again, it is only open until January 15th. So make sure you get this in before Christmas. Perfect Christmas gift ideas. Somebody's playing in the CCA, you better get them a shirt. You better get them some of these stickers because that is it's such a fun idea. And I can guarantee nobody's going to be turning down stickers if they get them.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Christmas present to yourself. I know I'm buying I might buy 5 of the crab tank with the small fry.
I know. I love that so much too. So yeah. Very exciting. But yeah, we will be moving on to our grand finals. And like Rose mentioned earlier, it is going to be a rematch between our winners finals, UConn Siberian Squids versus Goomies here. So again, UConn Siberian Squids, they did defeat Goomies 3-1. And kind of talking about the routes that they've had, UConn Siberian Squids, they beat the Executioners. That took me a while to say. I read through the teams before we did this. I was like, okay, I gotta get this right. They beat them 3-0, and then took on HLG Gold, beat them 3-2, and then of course we mentioned defeating Goomies 3-1, where Goomies they had a pretty easy route up until they faced UConn Siberian Squids, defeating the Table Turp Troop 3-1, and then Turnpike 3-0, and of course course, we just saw them defeat PSU Fish 2-1, or 3-1 rather, here in our losers finals. So again, Grands coming up pretty soon. UConn Siberian Squids in the driver's seat as far as only needing to win one. Goomies will need to win one and then potentially a bracket reset if they would like to be crowned the champion. So a lot of exciting stuff here.
Yeah, it's gonna be still an uphill road for Goomies here. Looks like you said they do have to force a bracket reset, so they would have to win a best of 5 twice to take this, whereas UConn only has to win it the one time. If anybody didn't get to see the UConn games earlier today here on SplatoonTourney1, they do, I believe, have a decav player who plays pretty well. I think that may have been Alex.
Yeah, and decaf players, they're, Nine and I were mentioning this on a different broadcast yesterday, where if you have a decaf player on your team, you need to let them cook because they are really going to be holding down the fort and taking control of what they need to do. So that's always exciting. You definitely want to work around with them. We're going to be starting on Zone's Robo Ramen here for the first map and mode, and of course we have our counter picks that we have had in the previous sets as well. So Zone's Robo Ramen. I mean, hey, we just saw the Rainmaker match happen. Let's run it back here with some Zones and get your broth ready, Rose. Get your broth ready.
I love ramen. I love me a good tonkotsu ramen. What is your favorite ramen broth?
I'm not like super cultured in ramen, which is unfortunate. But I think I would go with an old reliable as just like any of the quick and easy instant noodle, like the chicken flavor one, because I really just do it for like the salty broth, rather than like the noodles or anything that's added into the ramen itself. But I really just do it for the broth. I'm a salty broth person, so I'll honestly eat any ramen as long as it's really got a nice salt flavor for it. So
Yeah. Well, if you ever make it to New York City, we have a lot of nice ramen restaurants.
Yes, I can't wait. I would love to make it to Gridlock and all the lovely lands that happen in New York City. But let's hop into, almost hop into here. We're going to see 3 players from UConn Siberian Squids hop in. We will be we'll be resetting this lobby, I'm assuming, before we get started. So, it's funny you mention it because Mizuno, out of all people, who's one of the admins, one of the co-founders of CCA, actually took me to my very first like ramen shop. Like I've never been to a ramen shop until last year. So we met up. We don't live too far from each other, and I forget what I got, but it had egg and it had pork and it was good. I enjoyed it.
So good.
I was like, I will eat anything. And the thing is, like, I'm not a mushroom person, but I will eat mushroom in ramen, like, because I feel like it absorbs the rest of the broth flavor and everything too. So I'll give that a pass. But I don't know. I wanted to point it out because Mizuno is one of the co-founders. It's like, you know what? The only time I've really had like real authentic non-microwaved or boiled ramen that I made at home was with her. So thank you, Mizuno, if you're listening.
Thank you for starting Falco on the path of being cultured in the ways of ramen.
Indeed. All right, take 2 here for our first game. It looks like all the players are now back in the lobby with their names being shown here. So let's take a look here, and we are seeing double splash come out from UConn Siberian Squids, and Goomy is going to be bringing out a slightly different comp than what we have seen. They have the heavy edit plus a pencil, so two backlines here, and bringing out that double slosher once again. So we're going to see those double strikes, and this is going to be this is an interesting comp coming out from Goomies, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, very interesting. Having the heavy edit come out. It is, of course, the crab heavy edit, and so they're not running double cooler. I would like to note that we also have double strikes on the side of UConn. We don't have double slosher, but the second strike weapon is that Neo Splash.
Yeah, so we will have the strikes, which, of course, for zones, you can't go wrong with that decision, especially for a zone that's a little bit bigger like Robo Ramen, where you could really rely on using those double strikes to try and cap. That might be helpful for you. And right now, UConn, Siberian Squids really in control. Goomies did have it for quite some time, but now Siberian Squids doing such a good job. Look at this lockout. Burger was going to be the only one who is alive here. They do have their strikes ready because I believe they were coolered, but they're having a hard time breaking in, but they are wisely taking this upper right area where they do have the height advantage, especially with a weapon like the Slosher that they're going to be benefiting from. But now they're going to be using the strikes to try and push in, and that's going to be great because they have the teammates to support, taking down 1 players, but 2 on their side going to be going down. But hey, you stalled for a little bit. You got some penalty points on the side of Siberian Squid, so right now I would say that was the move they wanted to make.
Yeah, I like how Goomies played that. They didn't rush in. They made sure. They're like, hey, let's wait to get people in. We'll start taking some space. Then we'll use our strikes to cap. And they were able to get some good points. And UConn also then, did not rush in too hard to do a retake. Both teams playing very well here.
Yeah, they are playing really well, and I think too, Goomies, now we can see them in this offensive position where they took their time. Like you mentioned, they didn't really feed in. They took their time, made sure none of their players really got splatted or got wiped out. So they're able to do that and take the lead at this point. So a more slow and steady approach is really working out for them. And now we're going to see Siberian Squids in this position that we haven't seen them yet in this game, trying to come back into the zone, but they're just kind of going down, not really at full strength and not really having their specials that are working with their teammates. We just see strike for strike. So really a net neutral, and net neutrals are only going to be benefiting the team who has the zone right now. That is going to be Goomies, who still have it. Siberian Squids need to take it right now. They finally do, giving 50-70 penalty points to Goomies.
Yeah, we're just to see a lot of strikes in this game. It is almost hilarious to see, strike after strike after strike from both sides here. Goomies able to get down to 11, so they're going to have to go through a decent number of penalty points to start chipping away and try to get more of a score here. Josephus trying to get in for UConn, trying to get some space here. Does have the crab ready, but we do have strikes coming out again, as always.
Yeah, I think every 5 seconds we're at least be seeing strikes come out, especially with having half of the players on this field do have tri-strikes, so it's not going to be very uncommon, especially when one of them is a splash player who can get it in like 10 seconds or less. It's like the quick and easy bake oven. What's that thing you like, the easy bake oven? Yeah. Maybe in 10 seconds, whatever. But the Siberian Squids, they do have control once again, but here they really need to hold it on for longer than what they have been. They haven't had such a long hold since their first push, whereas Goomies were able to really take control and get a nice lockout. But Curious is now going to be throwing the cooler. Their teammates need to grab that to try and push in because they're running out of time at the moment, but no specials ready on the side of Siberian Squids. We do see some specials ready on the side of Goomies, but and it's going to be the strikes. Is it going to be enough to contest? And no, Siberian Squids still in control. We're going to see the pencil trying to take it, and the strikes are now going to be coming out. Is it going to be enough in time? And yes, it is, Rose. That was huge for Goomies here in the last minute.
Oh my gosh, yeah, being able to hold the lead there. UConn did get all the way down to 12, but they are 1 off, and now they have a lot of penalty points they're going to have to get through. They're going to have a long, sustained push, but we are coming up on 20 seconds left to go. Strikes coming out on the side of UConn. They are desperately trying to get this back, but then they're going to have to get even more specials ready to sustain. 15 seconds left to go. Can Goomies take this back and keep holding it and prevent UConn from getting any more points?
It's going to be tricky to see, but I think the 3 players down is really going to seal the deal there for Goomies. They're going to be getting game 1, which is absolutely huge for them. Remember, they were the team coming from the losers bracket, so this was not a must-need win for them, but a win that is definitely going to propel them to put themselves in a better position later on in this set. So that was a fantastic win for Goomies. I think they just worked really well together when they were on offense. Let's take a look here at the moment where Siberian Squids were trying to take the lead. Again, the strikes coming out at the perfect time. Burger trying to help take care of business as well, taking down 1, taking down 2 with an assist there. And yeah, that timing was absolutely perfect for Goomies, as they really had no time to spare.
Yeah, Goomies did a really good job holding on to that and making sure they had their strikes ready. They, saw the timer counting down. If they had thrown that a second too late, UConn would have stolen the lead.
Right, and it really depends on where you throw the strikes too, because you do have to plan it out. You can't just like yeet them into the zone and hope they stick. You do have to strategically place them and make sure that your opponents aren't touching up on where the strikes land. So yeah, that was a very good timing, very good strategy there for Goomies. And I think having your slosher player just trying to clean up and be a distraction, because that means members of Siberian Squids aren't painting the zone. They're trying to take out the slosher player. So you need to have the combination of the specials, of the strikes to take the zone, and have some of your players keeping up the aggression to take out your opponents. And Goomies did such a great job with that. And now UConn Siberian Squids, they are going to be making a counter pick. It is going to be Rainmaker Undertow Spillway here. So a larger map and mode to work with, a lot more space. Just as many tri-strikes that we'll see. I have no idea, Rose. I would imagine there's going to be some comp changes here, potentially on the side of Siberian Squid, since they were the team who didn't get the dub on that match. But it's I don't know. I do like this counter pick to kind of change up the pace a little bit.
Yeah, if I'm Goomies, I would I mean, we've seen them stick to the double slosher. I think this is just what they do. I am positive they're going to keep it here, and it'll be interesting to see how UConn potentially changes their team comp.
Yeah, I certainly would assume so as well. And it looks like, okay, we're sticking with the double splash. Are we going to have one of each again? Yes, we are. So we are sticking with those double strikes. So really, not much is going to be changing for them. Because they're sticking with the same edit that has the cooler, and really there are no comp changes here.
Yeah, not really.
On this map. So but hey, the thing is that first game was really close, so anything could happen here. Especially with the Rainmaker kind of having those breakaway moments. Of course, you have the checkpoint on the left. That is kind of your more longer strategic route that a lot of players opt to go to. But the checkpoint on the right is kind of the quick and easy first checkpoint, not necessarily the push you want to go if you're trying to get that knockout. So it's going to be interesting to see how these players approach this first minute of the game.
Yeah, we're coming down to the end of the first minute. Things are still pretty neutral. We did see a few players go down on either side. We've had a lot of bomb throws taking down some people. Really, right now, it seems just a battle for mid. Neither team having a huge advantage yet. Alex able to get another pick, gets a second pick. And that was 2 down on the side of Goomies. So it looks like Siberian Squids can start moving forward.
Yeah, that was big. And if you're Kilobyte, they're going to be opting to go on the left side. And I thought the pencil was going to spot them at first, but no, getting that check is going to be really big. Trying to take out Burger. It's going to be a 2v1 situation, but Burger's going to be taking on one of them, just Kilobyte, who's alive, who's going to be going down to the rest of the members of Goomies. So again, Siberian Squids getting to that first checkpoint is going to allow Goomies to kind of reset a little bit. And the Rainmaker, they're going to be picking it up. I thought they were going to let the Rainmaker reset, but they felt confident that they could do it. As Bubbles taking down Remoki, who is going to be spotted, but Curious now trying to take the Rainmaker on this left side. Bubbles is already in a very interesting position, but is going to be going down themselves. So 2 players down on both teams. The Rainmaker still sitting at 97, not quite the push that Goomies were to hope for. So they still have a lot that they need to overcome, because there's a lot of blue paint on this field, Rose.
There is. And they're going to have to work really, really hard. I did like Bubbles' idea on that previous push of trying to make sure they took some space for that left check. They just weren't, the rest of the team was not able to get back in, but I liked the idea. And Bubble able to get another really nice pick. Again, possibly, holding forward on this left side, trying to make sure that they get some attention. Able to get a Zuka pick, trying to get a second here. Not able to, but several people did go down on the side of UConn. So they're currently just a little bit staggered.
Yeah, Gumi is having this more slow and steady push this time around. It's interesting because I don't necessarily think they were wanting to kind of push. It's just more of it happened. They saw like, hey, we still need to get to this checkpoint. The Rainmaker is slowly going towards the right side, so let's at least try and get the dunk. But thankfully for Siberian Squids, that did not happen. They're going to be picking up the Rainmaker and immediately going to the left. They're going to have two of their teammates supporting them, the other one remaining back in mid. But that bomb is going to be taking down Rimoki, who's going to be going down. Burger trying to take out one of the members, but now going to be pulling back, providing a safe jump for their teammate to pop the Rainmaker. So it looks like they're going to be trying to do that. 2 members on Siberian Squid's going to be going down, and this is a very, very close game. The only difference is Goomies still needs to get to their checkpoint. If they do get to the checkpoint, Siberian Squid's still going to have this slightly upper edge with 1:30 remaining.
Yeah, and Rainmaker Undertow can change leads so quickly. Ever since, especially the map change from a little while ago at this point, we don't have that unpaintable surface past the left checkpoint. So you can just run through there and threaten a knockout really, really quickly.
Yeah, once that ball's rolling, and the ball might be rolling for Goomies because that is almost a delay to wipe. It is just Alex who's alive. Goomies, you need to pop and pick this up and get the dunk, but look at this. Players already from Siberian Squids are there and available. One more player, Burger. Did they get the splash player? No, they didn't. I don't know where they are now. Okay, now they're splatted. They were behind the Rainmaker, but Goomies is able to take the lead at this moment. It's going to be players, and now Siberian Squid's in a really panicky position. It's not going to be enough. Goomies going to be getting that dunk, that knockout to win game 2 here in our grand finals.
Yeah, we said it. You know, Rainmaker Undertow can go really fast if you're able to sustain that momentum from that left check.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened, and it's really hard once you have any sort of player disadvantage after that first checkpoint and you're on that left side. It is very, very hard. And like you mentioned, once the map got reworked and there was no slick spot, there was no, I'm going to run up this ramp for 3.5 seconds, hope I don't get splatted, haha. And no, but you can just go for it. You can just dart for it. And that's exactly what Goomies did. And really a needed win for them. We mentioned, they're up 2-0, but they are coming from the losers bracket. So they're hoping to get one more win, force this into a bracket reset against Siberian Squids, who had a little bit more time to kind of wait around and, maybe warm up, get some water, do all that good stuff, potentially watch Goomies and how well they did in the losers bracket finals. But right now, Goomies still up 2-0.
Yeah, Goomies is playing this really, really well. Definitely threatening this bracket reset. So it's going to be on UConn again to take their counter pick. I imagine they're going to take a little bit of time to figure this out. We're not going to rush them. They would really like to reverse sweep this so that it doesn't get forced into a bracket reset.
Yeah, and that's hard because you make your counter pick, but then of course after that happens, you're out of counter picks right at that moment. The hands are in Goomies' favor or Goomies' fate as far as what the counter picks are going to be. And it's hard to plan, but of course you can only take it one game at a time at this point. And the good news for Siberian Squids, they can counterpick any map and mode that they would like to try and run it back since they don't have a game win quite yet. So they're going to be trying to do that, obviously taking some time, like you mentioned, to figure out what is going to be best for them. But again, a little bit of breathing room, but you just don't want the momentum to go into Goomies' favor if a bracket reset potentially does happen, because they're going to be riding high. They're going to be feeling pretty good if they do get that bracket reset. And remember, these two teams did fight in the winners finals earlier when Magic and Cyren were commentating, where Siberian Squids defeated Goomies 3-1. So run it back moment here for Goomies. They're going to be trying to run it back.
Yes, they are. And we are moving on to Tower Control Manta Maria. It is up to UConn to take this game.
Yep, there's the decav you mentioned, Rose. That's going to be Alex who's using it, so they're going to be having some bubble protection. And then Goomies once again sticking with that double backline comp of the pencil and heavy edit with the Zuka and the Tri-Slosher coming out on the side of Goomies. So sticking with their same comp this time. Siberian Squids wisely changing their comp here, I think, and especially for Tower, having bubble, you definitely can't go wrong with that decision.
Yeah, when I was watching Alex play decav earlier today, I was just really impressed. Like, decav can do some really aggressive things all on their own. Sometimes you think, how is this decav going to win this 1v3, or at least, stall out a 1v3, and then they do it. Alex does go down there, but getting a wipeout on the side of Siberian Squids, actually, this is huge for Goomies to start getting some just probably an easy first tower checkpoint.
Yeah, they're gonna, in theory, breeze past this first checkpoint. You know, at this moment they kind of wish they were playing Rainmaker, I'm sure, so they could get it maybe down to like 30 or 20 and not be at the mercy of the slow tower moving. But hey, they will take it, getting that first checkpoint, trying to get to that second checkpoint, not quite reaching it there. Rare is going to be taking down Kilobyte. They're going to be taking down one more Remoki, so a nice double for Rare. Tower is going to be going back to neutral right now, but look at this, Rare in a very, very good spot here. A spot that's pretty hard to get up onto, especially as a backline player, but they are going to be falling down, so that is going to be nice for Siberian Squids as they have a bubble and some strikes ready to try and push themselves forward back to mid.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity for UConn to really start making some headway, but two of them did go down. Alex is still alive with that decav, still has bubble available. Goomies has been playing really, really well, just holding them back.
Yeah, and Goomies, again, really controlling mid, not allowing Siberian Squids to push forward or really take control of anywhere near mid. We see Joseph trying to flank a little bit, but they are spotted, trading with Bubble. You know, I feel like if they would have got Bubble, they also would have gotten that jump that was coming. But Alex is now there to help protect behind the tower. So once again, the tower not quite getting to that second checkpoint. It is a little bit trickier, but now Siberian Squids in a better position. They have a little bit more paint control in mid. They're going to have to watch some of these strikes to try and clear some of the area, along with the Zuka, but two of their players are going to go down. Kilobyte now on the tower alone, going to be using that cooler to try and, well, they're going to get a quick revive. They're going to be the only ones benefiting from it, so... you know, unfortunately, I don't know if the teammates are going to get to that cooler in time, but that's going to be working out pretty well for Goomies as they're going to take more control of mid.
Yeah, and we do have the crab ready on the side of Goomies. No specials online right now for UConn, so they are still stuck at this 88 right now, while Goomies is moving ahead, getting some more points, getting picks. 3 people go down on the side of UConn. Burger getting even more picks here, and Goomies is headed straight for the last tower checkpoint.
Yeah, this is where Goomies are really going to thrive. The coolers out on tower. 3 are going to go down. It's just going to be the Splash who's respawning. Joseph trying to find where they want to be, maybe getting some of the crab ready, but I don't think it's going to be enough in time. And Goomies are going to be winning the set 3-0 here in Grand Finals and will be forcing a bracket reset against Siberian Squids.
Clean plays from Goomies, just going, oh yeah, you got us 3-1 before in the winners finals. We fought our way back here, but we're gonna threaten to take this back. We'll play you twice.
Yeah, that was the cleanest match that we have seen so far from Goomies against Siberian Squids. And, you know, that is absolutely huge. And the benefit now for Goomies, too, is, okay, it's a clean slate. You know, you didn't even have to make any counter picks to begin with, but because we are going to reset, you do the field is wide open for counter picks on what you want to do. Nothing is off limits, well, in the map and mode pool, but there's anything that you can choose here at this point. So that is the reset that they wanted and needed, and Siberian Squids will try and take some of these losses into consideration on how they want to adapt to their comp and what they would like to do. But of course, it's all going to be depending on what the first map and mode is here in our reset, and this is a fun set so far. This Goomies team is looking pretty good, Rose.
They are. I'm really excited to see if Goomies can really pull this off and win the bracket reset. You know, UConn did get a really nice set win on them earlier, but I wonder if just now Goomies has figured it out how to crack UConn. They definitely have a range advantage over on UConn. UConn's been running this double splash situation with both Vanilla Splash and Neo Splash, which both are able to get specials very, very quickly and move very quickly, but are really hurting in the range department.
They really are, and we know the first map and mode, they're going to be quickly getting ready into it because it is going to be splat zones on Macamart. If you are running double slosher, this is where you want to do it. We are going to be seeing the red pencil come out, excuse me, on the side of UConn Siberian Squids, and they're going to be opting to keep their cooler edit. So that is going to allow some wall and rain action from Alex, so switching from the decav to that, but still keeping some of the paint with both of the splash players.
Yeah, we do still have the double splash on the side of UConn, and of course, double buckets on the side of Goomies. Their Sashi machine does go down on the side of Goomies, and of course, we do already have a crab online from that splash over on UConn. These splashes will be getting their specials out very quickly. We do have the rain coming out on the side of UConn, and UConn able to get some early points.
Yeah, they are going to be getting some of those points. Some of their players are now going to be going down. We see the strikes come out. Can Burger take down Remy? Who know they can't. So they're going to be going down. So this is where Siberian Squids are going to try and push back in with the support of the strikes. Not much to follow up on the zone, as Curious and Burger and Rare are both there along with the last player. Bubbles is going to be using the Zuka to try and push forward. So Gumi is doing such a good job not letting much of that zone go towards Siberian Squid's favor, and doing such a good job with their positioning and their finesse to try and dwindle some of this zone down. They're hoping to recap so they don't get any penalty points, and so far they're doing such a good job at that, Rose.
They are. I'm just watching the slosher on the side of Goomies angle their ink as they're flicking, and they've been doing such a good job. This is a slosher's playground. They're having just their best life here. And Goomy's able to get down all the way to 37, but it does look like maybe, yes, UConn able to cap this, keeping Goomies over at a 37-point lead at the moment. UConn going to try their best to hold this. They do have a lot of paint control mid, but specials are coming out on the side of Goomies. Rainbow Key doing their best to stay alive, but does die on the zone.
Yeah, and that was, you know, that's really unfortunate. When you do die on the zone, you're going to be getting some of the enemy paint on the zone. But look at that, a nice double there from Bubble. 3 are going to be going down. Kilobyte now trying to find an opportunity on where they want to be, taking down Bubble, and that's wise to trying to turn around, make sure that one of our opponents are not going to be flanking. But look at where Rare is positioned too, already on the offensive side, trying to push up there. They might be turning around now. Yeah, they're going to be dropping down now into the zone. So that is huge for Goomies, as they've been able to really control this zone, you know, past some of those penalty points that they've gotten before. Rain is going to be coming in. That's going to be from Alex, I believe, who was using the pencil. But still, as long as Goomies don't allow Siberian Squids to really cap the zone here, keep up some of the pressure, win the 1v1s, take out that crab. Huge again on Bubble, who's doing such a great job. Can he get 3 with the assist? Almost taking down Alex too. They're going to be jumping out. But right now, Goomies and Bubbles in particular doing such a good job. Look at that. Bubbles on a tear here. They're going to be sealing the deal here and winning game 1 of our bracket reset.
Oh my gosh, just Goomies there at the end there, completely locked in, forcing UConn Siberian Squids on the back foot. I could see them really panicking there at the end, and I would be too if I was on the side of UConn. Just Goomies held that really well.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job. Had quite a bit of penalty points they needed to get through. Here's the play we saw from Bubble trying to take down Alex. Alex is going to be jumping out. But look what Bubble did here. They were throwing some of the paint here, but immediately shifted gears as the crab came out. That bomb came out, but that was from one of their teammates. That was not them, since they have point sensors, but still helping taking them out too really helped Goomies. Just again, their lockouts are really good. They aren't pushing up super far, but they are so aware of where Siberian Squids are dropping in and immediately change their attention to the player who is closest to the zone, or who has a special, or who is their biggest threat at the time.
Yeah, I would love to be just a fly on the wall in Goomies VC just to hear what their comms are like.
Oh my gosh, it would be. I bet they're riding high now, winning 4 games in a row against a team that beat them earlier in winners finals, and really just 2 more for them. And Siberian Squids now, I mean, again, they came into this as the winners from the winners bracket, but still need to find a game win. Right now is where you need to do it. Of course, there's still more opportunities, but you don't want to let Goomies go up 5 games in a row. They're going to be riding high on that wave, the adrenaline, all of that. And Rose and I, we both have played. Used to play more comp than I do now. Rose, you play comp. You know how it feels. You know how both of these teams are feeling right now.
Yeah, and I've been on both sides. It really sucks when you lose 5 games in a row and you're just like, okay, well, I don't feel like I can do anything anymore. And it feels really good when you go like that many games playing really well. So Goomies sitting really nice here. They haven't won it just yet, so hopefully they don't let it go to their heads. Make sure, they're, keeping spirits up and not letting it go to their heads. UConn, hopefully just, sometimes you need to take a breather and be like, okay, we both need to figure out what can we do to shift this in our favor, but not hyper fixate on that so much that we're losing sight of the bigger picture.
Yeah, definitely, and it's always hard to be in uh Siberian Squid's position. Like you mentioned, you're in Gumi's position, you're feeling good. You're in Siberian Squid's position, you're not feeling that that good as well. Some of the score updates going on some of the other tournaments. We have VCU Big Fat Sea Cows 2-0 over Death Roll right now. I believe that is their grand finals going on over on CCA. And then in Division 2, we have the Octos and Squids United Scarlet Gray 1-1 against I always mess up this acronym. EAUCD. It's always so hard for me to say. EAUCD Splatoon White. Again, they are tied 1-1 right now. So of course, have all four of those browsers open, watching all of the great CCA action here. The good news is you can watch all the VODs, and I'm sure all these will be on the CCA YouTube channel later on. So again, we definitely can't say enough how amazing this production is. I think over the course of the 2 days here, there were 16 commentators today, 16 yesterday, so 30. Well, I think you were the only one who did both days, actually.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so 31 different commentators commentating here for the CCA. It was absolutely incredible, and we always love to see all their hard work, and of course we always love to bring you all the entertainment. But yeah, we are still waiting on the counter pick here from Siberian Squids. And if you're them, you lost 4 in a row. It's hard because like you want to make the right decision, but you don't want to overthink it, because you don't want to mess too much in your head of what the game plan is going to be.
Yeah, and I've definitely fallen into that position of being like, okay, well, clearly we need to change our comp somehow. Like, clearly we need to change up our comp, and having to also pick a counter pick map. That's another amount of mental load you have to figure out, and it's very easy to just sort of start crumbling under that pressure. So hopefully UConn doing their best to stay in it, and looks like they're still working out what they're going to be playing on. Like I said, I don't blame them for like needing a breather here.
No, I don't blame them either. But of course, they'll choose it eventually. They have to. So they will be getting that. But it looks like we are still okay. Tower Control Hagglefish is going to be the next map and mode that is going to be playing. So they're going to be we are going to be playing Tower Control here. Again, a slower pace, but again, if things kind of snowball, it's pretty hard to get back into position to try and push forward. And of course, fighting like a double back, like, or having a double backline comp in this position, the pros and cons. Pro when you are in the lead, con when you're not. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they approach it. But we're seeing 2 blasters come out from Time Bros. I like this choice. You need to spice it up a little bit. And once again, the same comp coming out from Goomies.
I like this a lot. I think this is going to be really fun to watch on UConn's side. I love the double blaster here. They're gonna have to make sure that their heavy edit and their Neo Splash is getting tons of paint down for them, though.
Yeah, and the Rapid Pro Deco, that's, you're right, exactly. That's not a weapon we see a lot, but having 2 blasters, you really need to rely on your other players to paint, and that is really going to be the Splash and the Edit who are going to be doing that. And of course, the Splash also going to be trying to grind some of those strikes that they're going to be getting. And Siberian Squid's first to take control of the tower right now. One of their members are going to go down. That's going to be Kilobyte. Rare is going to be taking them down, and Tower's now going to be going back to neutral, so not much of a push, but Alex is going to be trying to push in with the Kraken, wisely trying to take out the person who is on, who is on Canopy. That is absolutely huge. A nice double there, taking out Bubble as well. One more is going to be spotted. It's going to be Burger they're trying to take out. But if you're Alex and you're a Kraken player, that is the thing you need to do.
Yeah, we saw them just immediately hone in on that pencil player, because litting the pencil on Goomies' side on a haggle just have so much control of this map is going to make UConn's work getting in so much more difficult. So they were able to get a little bit of a push, unfortunately not able to get a lot of points, and now Goomies has taken the lead as they head towards the first tower checkpoint.
Yeah, they're going to be trying to get past this checkpoint, and they look like they might be in a good position to do. Rare's going to be avoiding that bomb and getting the assist on one of the members on Siberian Squids, so that is going to be crucial for them to try and push forward. They're going to have to be taking out Joseph here, who's using the blaster, seemingly uncontested right now, but look at this, Rare going to be hopping up, and it is going to be one of their teammates taking them down. Rare now trying to take out more players on the side of Siberian Squids while avoiding that avoiding the Kraken, but Alex is going to be getting on the tower, but nowhere to go when you're a blaster player, and unfortunately don't have a lot of real estate to work with. So Goomies, even though they're dropping players one by one, they are slowly but steadily pushing this tower.
Yeah, really, really good for UConn that Goomies was not able to crack that tower checkpoint, but Goomies got all the way down to 34.
Yeah, that is really good. And of course, it's crazy. 34 is not even like past that second checkpoint yet. You're halfway through it. So that is a very good position to be in if you're Goomies. Of course, you have a minute and a half. You're 2.5 minutes you're working with now to try and just hold a solid defense. And on paper, you have more paint than your opponents. You just don't want to be too conservative. You're going to have to look out for Siberian Squids, trying to make those key moves like Alex has been doing with the Kraken, trying to identify some of the backline players. And right now, Goomy players are going to be going down just a little bit more paint on the side of Siberian Squids as they are able to take control of the tower. Will it be enough for them to get to this first checkpoint? As Kilobyte is alone, they're going to be going down. So no, Goomies, as long as they control that left tent, I think they are going to be sitting themselves pretty well for the next minute 45, Rose.
Yeah, Burger's been throwing some really nice splat bombs, also getting some chipping in with that slosher. Alex able to take them out with that custom range blaster. Alex has been doing a really good job just doing a lot of aggressive positioning and pressuring of Goomies, especially with those Kraken plays. We've seen some really nice Kraken plays from Alex, getting more really nice picks. Hopefully UConn's able to take advantage of this. But I have to applaud Goomies. They, even when they've been going down, they've been doing a great job of getting back in quickly.
Yeah, they certainly have been, and they're just used to it right now. They know exactly where they want to position themselves. And Siberian Squid, speaking of positioning themselves, are doing a very good job quickly getting almost past this first checkpoint, but those strikes coming out from the side of Goomies are like slowing down the push, but they do get past that first checkpoint. And now Bubble's kind of in a pickle here, taking down one, but Bubble's doing what Bubble does best. Can they take down Joseph? No, Joseph is going to be jumping out. Alex is going to be taking them out with the Kraken. So this is really where Siberian Squids can still push forward. Again, they are past that first checkpoint, but haven't really pushed past much. And again, this is where it's going to be hard for them. They don't have a lot of paint on their comp, so they need to take care of some of that paint in front of the tower if they want to try and push forward and get a lockout.
Yeah, UConn down their splash player right now, which is really not going to be good for supplying paint for these two blasters on their team. And 3 specials online on Goomies as we have less than 10 seconds left to go. We do have strikes ready. Slasher holding onto these right now. Gonna throw them any second. Here they come out. Gonna force UConn to back off of that tower. They do go down, get wiped, and Goomies gets that.
Yeah, Goomies with another solid win, a 5-game win streak above Siberian Squids here, forcing that bracket reset, looking for one more game win to be our CCA Division 3 champions here. So they're doing everything they need to do here, and of course, having those strikes at the very end, it's kind of hard to mess that up. As long as you throw the strikes, you have somebody who's close to the tower, that's game. There's really not much you can do from it. So Man, I love the guts that Siberian Squids brought with the blaster. I just think 2 blasters that's just so hard to work with because things really have to go in your favor as far as getting the picks, as far as having your other teammates paint the floor and everything. But having blaster in general and tower control, that's something you typically want to do. It's a good weapon to have. But kind of changing more than one thing at a time can be very difficult. Figuring out how you want to work with your comp, and Goomies, they're not really changing anything. They're not changing anything they need to do. They don't need to change anything, quite frankly. They've had some solid wins for all 5 of their games so far.
Yeah, they've been doing a great job of holding on to this momentum. They only need one more game to become the Division 3 champions.
Yeah, it's really incredible, and I mean, coming from the losers bracket too, I think it makes it much more difficult. But it's like, I don't know. It's hard to be in their position. It's hard to be in Siberian Squid's position, obviously. And either way, both of these teams have had fantastic runs so far. I don't want to say it's over yet, and I don't want to discredit how well both of these teams have been playing so far. So, you know, it's hard to brush it off, like you mentioned before. If we've been in Siberian Squid's position before, it's hard to just brush off the 5 losses that you've had before. But the good news is you have to win less games than what you lost before if you're in that position. So that I would say that that's kind of maybe what they're hanging on to try and get this set win. But of course, still a big mental game for them.
Yeah, it's easier said than done, but they do have to win the next 3 games. They do have to only win 3 games.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously very difficult to do. And again, the counter picks, they can seemingly choose anything they want. Really, have we not seen for this we haven't seen Siberian Squids play clams yet, have we? Because the clams game was during our first set, right? I'm
trying to look back on what our previous counter picks were.
Yeah. We're using Battlefy, so I don't think we can previously see the maps and modes. But either way, we just know zones hasn't really been working out for them, and tower was a little iffy. I think there might be a little bit more hope with Rainmaker. Of course, we saw the Undertow Rainmaker match. But we do have the counter pick. It is going to be Clam, Blitz, Barnacle, and Dime. So we're going to be changing up the pace a little bit here. And Siberian Squid's hoping to get a win to stay alive. Goomies looking to clinch it out here. And now we only have 1 blaster on the side of Siberian Squids. It is going to be the Rapid Pro Deco who's going to be sticking. We are no longer going to be having that ranged blaster, and we are sticking with the same comp that we have seen before from Goomies.
Yep. We've still got double strikes over on UConn with this V-Slosher and the Neo Splash. Just 1 set of strikes over on the side of Goomies, but still with that basically double anchor pick. We've been seeing them play really well. Double anchor, I always find very difficult to pull off, because oftentimes you will have anchors accidentally stepping on each other's toes. But their heavy edit player has been doing a fantastic job of actually playing pretty aggressively with the rest of the team.
Yeah, they have, and I think that's what they need to do. They kind of know, okay, if we have double backline, one of us is going to have to adjust and change how we play than what a traditional backline player would do. And of course, since Goomies have always kind of been on the offensive side or have had the upper edge, it's easier to have double backline when you know you have a lot more space to work with. So they've really been thriving there. And right now, we're seeing a lot of tit for tat here as Goomies trying to push in. 3 are going to go down. They do have a power clam bubble once again, helping clean up and take care of business. Going to be throwing in that power clam. We see another clam thrown in there as well. So Goomies in a very solid position now, getting down past 40, potentially past 30 as well. It's going to be the pencil player who has clams, going to be trying to throw some in. It's going to be Curious, not really near the basket. They might end this push here at 33, so a fantastic opening push there for Goomies. 33 points, 33 penalty points, not 3-3-3 remaining. We were very close. I was hoping that would kind of roll off the tongue, but we're close enough with that.
Yeah, Goomy's able to get down, 2/3 of the way. Really, really solid and aesthetically pleasing push from them.
Yeah, now Siberian Squids, you know, they have the power claim. That it was their mercy claim they picked up. You know, sometimes you can do that on accident. Most players tend to not pick it up unless you're ready to make a push or ready to jump in. But either way, they do have it and have some more claims, but they are able to get some picks here on players from Goomies. But Bubble, once again, in a very good position here for a machine player. And Goomies in a very solid controlling mid, also have a power claim of their own. Burger trying to strike in, getting one pick, avoiding some of these ink strikes as well. So Rose, I think once again, Goomies setting themselves up to try and score.
They are, and even if they don't score, just threatening this push is huge for them. But it looks like they are going in. Curious able to throw that power clam in. There are clams right there. Bubble getting more picks. They have clams. They are through penalty points. Down all the way to 13, all the way to 10. They have no more clams in their possession right now, but they could potentially get more in. However, several people went down, and Gumi's push is going to end there, but a huge, massive lead for them.
Yeah, that was really crucial. And now with about 2 minutes left, Siberian Squid still needing to score. And if they score, they need to score big. They can have more than one push at this point in time. But once we kind of get down to that 1 minute mark, that becomes more and more risky because they're going to have a lot less time to work with. So they're going to be trying to push themselves back into mid here, but Gumi's playing they don't need to do anything crazy. They can play pretty conservatively. They're opting to hold 2 power claims, which kind of surprises me at this moment because they don't really need to, but they're really working well with the tri-strikes, so never mind. They can hold these claims as they are getting some picks. Curious with the power claim. Burger's going to score, and Curious, is that going to be game? Yes, it is. Gumi's winning 3-0 here in the bracket reset, 6-0 against Siberian Squids, and are your Division 3 CCA Fall 2024 champions.
Goomies absolutely doing the biggest reverse sweep of all time, getting knocked into losers by this very team, by UConn in the winners finals, winning then the losers finals, coming back into grand finals, forcing a bracket reset, winning every game in this grand finals.
Yeah, they gotta feel pretty good about themselves, winning this Division 3 coming from the loser side. And of course, you know, I really wanted to see how the Siberian Squids Goomies match went before that, you know, well, that did happen during winners finals previously before we got off the mic, but they did such a fantastic job getting this win. So that is absolutely huge for them. And we have the Octos and Squids United team who they defeated. That was EAUCD Splatoon White in Division 2. And right now, VCU Big Fat Sea Cows in Death Roll in a bracket reset. Big Fat Sea Cows leading 1-0 right now. And we're going to be heading their way for the remainder of the broadcast. Well, for you guys to watch for the rest of the CCA action. But Rose, this has been such a fantastic journey commentating with you. And I, once again, thank you to the CCA production for having us. But Rose, where can we find you?
You can find me at Rose of Battle in all of the places. I'm on Blue Sky, Twitter, not so much anymore, but Twitch, YouTube. And as just a little hint, if you haven't noticed on Blue Sky, I am organizing a frankly kind of last minute charity campaign with the Splatoon community benefiting the Trans Empowerment Project. So do catch that coming up this week and next week on my Twitch channel.
Yeah, I love to hear that. That's great. You can find me Falco Flyer on Blue Sky, Falco Flyer on Twitch. And once again, we are going to be heading over to CCA for their Division 1 bracket reset. Once again, VCU Big Fat Sea Cows leading Death Roll 1-0. Big shout outs to our streamer Omazen for streaming for us today. But that's going to be it for us. We will see you over on CCA's channel for their Division 1 Grand Finals. Take care.